The story usually goes like this. A long, long time ago, on a peaceful day, the Demon King made his move on humanity. Attacking the world with his undead army, an unknown horde appeared, as if he had been waiting for this moment. During the final battle between the Demon King and the hero sacrificed himself to defeat the Demon King. The Demon King descended deep underground and fell into slumber, vowing to return one day. And so, as you've heard 1,000 times before, the world became peaceful and the hero turned into a legend. The protagonist, currently narrating this story, admits he doesn't know who the author is, but believes this over-sophisticated tale of the Demon King and the hero will keep repeating itself forever. After a very long time in the present, someone opened a door and entered a room. The person told the Majesty that something bad had happened. The Majesty asked, "What happened?" The man bowed in front of the Majesty and said, "Demiurgos, the 666th, has awakened." And as soon as he did, he left the demon realm. Demiurgos said that he quits being the Demon King. In an angry tone, the Majesty asked him what he was talking about. The man, now nervous, hesitated, but the Majesty commanded him to speak. Showing a letter that Demiurgos wrote, it read, "I quit being the Demon King. Don't look for me, you idiots." Knowing that Demiurgos had run away, the Majesty exclaimed in anger, "What?" Footsteps echoed as a man walked, a smile on his face, now standing in front of a magnificent place, the Verde Kingdom's Arcoma Castle. Blushing, he said, "As expected of the human realm, I've heard so much about it." He then started laughing, spinning around, finding the place cozy and beautiful. Suddenly, his eyes sharpened and his expression became serious as he saw a cross on top of the castle, a symbol he found cursed. Suddenly, someone called him a country bumpkin and asked where he had come from, continuing to question what he thought he was doing there. "Country bumpkin? Is he talking about me?" Demiurgos inwardly pondered. Continuing his wandering, he wondered if it was because of his clothes that he seemed different. The guards then tell him, "How dare you loiter in front of Arcoma Castle?" It seems like he has lost his sense of hearing, they say. Pointing their weapons at him, they ask why he is looking around, emphasizing that they are talking to him and demanding his name. Inwardly, Demiurgos thinks he can't tell them he is Demiurgos the 666th. An idea suddenly clicks, and he decides to create a fake name. With a smile, he says, "Hello, humans, I'm Deus." Suddenly, someone steps in saying, "To claim the name of the ancient god like that is unacceptable." He asks Demiurgos if he knows that this is the capital of the Verde Kingdom. The guard turns around and sees that Count Bruo is speaking. Bruo continues, saying that if Demiurgos said that without knowing, he will forgive him this once, but he should leave immediately. Still smiling, Demiurgos asks if the Verde Kingdom is strong. Confused and shocked, Bruo exclaims, "What?" Continuing, Demiurgos says, "It's strong enough to take me as its king, right?" Bruo suddenly erupts in anger, pointing his sword at Demiurgos and asking how he dares insult the royal family. He declares that Demiurgos will pay with his life for his foolishness. Suddenly, Demiurgos' eyes light up red, and then a gruesome scene unfolds as Bruo's head explodes, blood splattering everywhere. A guard standing nearby is flabbergasted, not knowing what just happened. Suddenly, his face also starts inflating and then explodes. The same thing happens to another guard standing nearby. The other guards are shocked, disturbed, and confused by the sudden explosions. With a swift movement of his fingers horizontally, Demiurgos causes the heads of 3 more guards to explode. Suddenly, archers on top of the castle wall take aim and shoot their arrows at Demiurgos, who stands unfazed. After casting his gaze at the archers, their heads also explode, and blood splatters everywhere. Demiurgos then utters the epic words of the greatest necromancer, "Arise." Suddenly, the bodies of the dead knights start floating upside down, forming a path of blood to greet their new king. As he walks on the pool of blood, he tells them to praise the steps he takes with their blood and bless his body's ascension with their tears. Suddenly, many guards rush out of the castle, calling for everyone because the enemy has forced his way in. Some ask if war has broken out, while others say that everyone outside is already dead. As the knights come outside, they freeze, awaiting instructions to enter. Suddenly, the door shatters open, and Demiurgos enters with his hands in his pockets and a smile. He says he will use their screams as trumpets for him. The people are all afraid, sweating in fear, as a shadowy aura brimming with skulls fills the surroundings. The undead skeletons charged into the group of guards, slaughtering them mercilessly. Blood splattered everywhere, and the air was filled with screams, cries for help, cries of pain, and desperate calls for mummy. The despair and suffering inflicted on the guards were so ruthless that some begged to be killed rather than endure the pain. Watching the carnage, Demiurgos smiled, his happiness growing with each scream of despair and drop of blood, his cheeks flushing with excitement. Suddenly he opened his eyes as he heard someone say, "The Almighty and Creator of this world, the virtuous our Father, God, your name shines divinely, and as the Master of Eternity, you decide the start and end. In the trial of darkness, guide us with the light of the bright truth, and may we emerge victorious. Prevail against death and let truth triumph over deceit. Please destroy the evil before me and grant me the power to defeat it." After the prayer, the man began to glow with a golden light. He stood firm, ready to face the evil. Smiling, Demiurgos noted that the man was using a light aura. He asked if the man was Blood, the one he had heard about. Unfazed, Blood replied that he did not know who Demiurgos was, but accused him of using black magic. Blood continued, expressing outrage that Demiurgos had breached Arcoma Castle's defenses alone. He declared that Demiurgos would not get past him, someone blessed by God, and then dashed toward Demiurgos. Leaping into the air, Blood proclaimed that while he might not be a pure blood, he would still defeat Demiurgos. Blood's attack was so powerful that a bright light surrounded the entire room, and the ground shattered, sending rocks flying everywhere. Blood's eyes were filled with confidence, but they widened in shock as Demiurgos, who he thought he had killed, said, "What? That was nothing!" In the next moment, we see that Demiurgos had blocked Blood's powerful attack with just 2 fingers. Demiurgos then said it was his turn. He began praying, saying, "Our Father who's up in heaven, dear God, please kill this person. No, I mean idiot." After his prayer, Demiurgos told Blood that he had also prayed, and now they would find out which one of them God would listen to. Suddenly, a giant hole appeared in Blood's chest where his heart had been. It turned out that Demiurgos had extracted Blood's heart from his body. With a menacing expression, Demiurgos told Blood never to bring up God in front of him again. Without wasting any time, Demiurgos crushed Blood's heart, causing blood to splatter everywhere. In the throne room, Demiurgos faced numerous other knights. He greeted them and asked if they had all been waiting for him. The knights, seeing that it was only one intruder, were confused but determined to prevent him from reaching the king. As the final defense line of the castle, they were ready to defend it with their lives. The king then asked the intruder to introduce himself. Walking nonchalantly, Demiurgos deduced that the old man must be the king of the castle. He proposed that they have a conversation. A guard then screamed at him, asking how he dared to address His Majesty inappropriately. Suddenly, Demiurgos snapped his fingers, and the heads of the guards in the front line exploded. He then asked if anyone else had any complaints. The knights, not wanting to share that fate, remained silent. After that, Demiurgos leaped into the air, grew red wings, and started flying. He flew toward the king, bypassing all the guards blocking his path. Now standing before the monarch, Demiurgos started giggling and proposed that they begin talking. The king, terrified, asked Demiurgos what he wanted. Money? Nobility? He promised to give him anything within his power. Smiling, Demiurgos answered that the only thing he wanted was the kingdom. Suddenly, the king shouted, spitting everywhere and exclaiming, "That's impossible!" Demiurgos, picking his ears, asked what the king thought he would request. He said that if the king couldn't give him the kingdom, he would just kill him. Demiurgos then declared that the kingdom and the royal family would naturally become his. Suddenly, the old man's nose started dripping, and he said that he knew what Demiurgos really wanted, his daughter. Demiurgos was confused and asked what he meant by daughter. He explained that he was not interested in her and didn't even know the king had a daughter. The old man continued, saying that he couldn't give his daughter April because she was the pride of the Horsenso continent and the flower of the royal family. Once again, Demiurgos told him that he didn't need his daughter. What he wanted was the royal family. The old man erupted in anger once again, asking why Demiurgos desired what wasn't his. With a menacing expression, he asked if everything was his. The old man answered, "Of course, the kingdom belongs to the royal family." With a menacing expression, Demiurgos's eyes glowed red, and he asked, "Since when?" He then questioned if the world belonged to him from the first day it was created. He continued, saying that the king had also taken something that belonged to someone else. If he had enjoyed himself for decades while sitting on the throne, now was the time to surrender it so that Demiurgos could take it. However, the king was persistent and answered, no. He didn't want to give up his throne and screamed, asking if Demiurgos thought the Sanctus Maximus Populi would acknowledge him as a king. After hearing that, Demiurgos started laughing out loud, asking what kind of stupid name Sanctus Maximus was and who cared. He proceeded to call the king an idiot. An aura erupted from Demiurgos, and then the entire castle exploded, burning everything and everyone. Turning around to see where the king's body was, Demiurgos found him and said that it seemed like he didn't have any blood, because if he did, he would have been able to withstand several seconds more. He then remarked, "How boring." Looking toward the sky, Demiurgos told God that he was disappointed because these people weren't prepared at all. As the sun shone through the window, Demiurgos said that it would be a while before a pure blood awakened, estimating that there were still 20 more years left before the day he was meant to descend. The lost demons of the First War descended into the demonic realm with the Demon King's broken soul and placed it in a new body. They infused various types of magic and curses into him for 100 years, eventually resurrecting him as the new Demon King. The Second War ensued, as they believed there were no heroes left to thwart their plans. However, a hero emerged, causing them to lose. Another hero appeared, and once again, they faced defeat. The demons repeated the process of resurrecting a new Demon King every 100 years, and a new hero kept thwarting their schemes. This cycle continued for a staggering 666 times, spanning 66580 years. The once heroic tale of saving the world became an overly obvious cliché, leading to a sense of numbness to safety among the people who expected the hero to reappear when needed. In the underground, where they deemed this as the final last one, they exerted all their might to resurrect the 666th Demon King. His name was Demiurgos, the 666th, the harbinger of despair for all humans on Earth. On the day he opened his eyes, however, he abandoned his post. Suddenly, Demiurgos turned around as he heard screaming. The screams emanated from April, the king's daughter. She began crying and then questioned him about his identity and what he had done to her father. Internally, Demiurgos wondered about this girl, but then he recalled the king describing April as the pride of the Horsens continent and the blossom of the royal family. After this recollection, Demiurgos exclaimed, "Aha! So you're Princess April!" He proceeded to inform her of the king is dead. Tearfully, April inquired about what he had just said. Suddenly, Demiurgos snapped his fingers, erasing her mind. She dropped to her knees, stating that her humble body belonged to him. She referred to him as master and requested to be taken away. Leaping into the air, Demiurgos flew toward her, landing in front and gently lifting her chin. He declared her his first human, and she thanked him. Abruptly, Demiurgos shifted his gaze to the left and commanded, "Stop peeking and come out before I gouge out your eyes." The concealed person began laughing and acknowledged that Demiurgos, as expected, noticed him. The pocket dimension started opening, and a dripped-out man emerged. He respectfully removed his hat, introducing himself as "Your loyal subject, Alex," and greeted Demiurgos as his lord. Demiurgos then asked him if he had followed him all this time. Alex responded, "Wherever he goes, I am always with him." Demiurgos retorted, "Bullcrap," asserting that Alex serves his father, not him. Alex countered, stating that Demiurgos's body was passed down by their ancestors, and now he alone is his lord. Demiurgos dismissed him, telling him to get lost because he isn't returning to the demonic realm. Alex replied, "Okay, my lord, I will only follow your orders. Don't worry about me, and continue with what you were doing." Suddenly, Demiurgos asked what he meant by what he was doing. Pointing towards the girl, Alex inquired if Demiurgos wasn't trying to plant that woman with his mighty seed. He then says that he, Alex, who never left his side for 80 years of the demonic soul period. Then he says, "Would you listen to me about my sacrifice for you that cannot be heard without wine or tears?" He then mentions that during Demiurgos's childhood, he breastfed him. "Yo, bro, what the fuck is this?" Alex continued, asserting that he became the perfect teacher through affectionate education. Demiurgos retorted, recalling Alex beating the life out of him. Unfazed, Alex continued, claiming he's the only demon who showed him affection until he entered the Egg of Awakening. Reflecting on Demiurgos's past, Alex noted how he used to toddle around with his little hands and feet. He marveled at Demiurgos's growth, expressing disbelief that he's now all grown up and has opened his eyes to women. Emotionally charged, he admitted he wouldn't know how to handle such feelings. Demiurgos interrupted, insisting he's not interested in playing the Demon King anymore. He's been reborn as a normal human being. Smiling, Alex replied, "Sure, my lord, do as you please." Demiurgos, with a serious expression, questioned Alex, asking, "What is it?" Alex, seemingly nonchalant, responded, "What do you mean?" With anger, Demiurgos demanded to know Alex's motives, questioning why he was allowing him to be and not trying to make him go back home. Despite being strangled and twisted by Demiurgos's magic, Alex started laughing, apologizing and promising to reveal his intentions. In response, Alex inquired if there was a special reason Demiurgos chose to attack this country. Demiurgos answered that he didn't really have a reason, he simply decided he'd rather live as a king if he was going to live as a human. Suddenly, Alex started clapping his hands, confusing Demiurgos. Alex then said, "How fitting of the Demon King!" As soon as Demiurgos came to Earth, he took over the largest kingdom, killed the king, and even abducted the princess. How evil! What more could he do that's befitting of a demon king? Alex continued, saying, "A normal human being, or even a high-ranking demon like himself, could never dare to imagine something like this, such a mighty natural demon king." He then stated that since a great lord like Demiurgos claimed he'd abandon them and not be the demon king, he would take his son down to the demonic realm and raise him as the demon king. On that day, 20 years later, his son would be Demiurgos the 666th, and he would make him descend to this world. After hearing that, Demiurgos was bewildered. Then he wore a blank expression, then looked at the princess and paused for a moment. Silence surrounded them, and then he laughed, saying, "Phew, I almost got screwed right here." He almost became a father to a child at this young age of 80. As Alex tried to persuade him to have a son, Demiurgos turned around with a serious expression towards Alex, and then he told him to be quiet while launching a devastating attack that was narrowly dodged by Alex. The attack was so powerful it went through the horizon, destroying mountains in its path. Alex was shocked at the devastating attack that had just been sent towards him. Cutely angered, Demiurgos says, "Phew, so you're going to set me up, huh? These bastards!" Inwardly, Alex acknowledges that Demiurgos is different. His Demon King field isn't even complete, yet he's this strong. Looking at him, Alex realizes that the 666th is definitely different from his predecessors, and perhaps, just perhaps this time, they might actually win. They might finally do it. Suddenly, in a turn of events, Demiurgos declares that he will be the defender of justice, the hero's ally. This shocks Alex so much that he starts melting. With a smile and a happy expression, Demiurgos explains that he will be in cahoots with the hero, seeking acknowledgement but intentionally staying one step behind to avoid standing out. It's the vaguest position that you wouldn't think could be the Demon King, the hero's ally. With the stupid hero in front of him, Demiurgos plans to enjoy the sweet ride behind him, laughing while admitting that his idea is to let the hero do the hard work while he gets the glory. As Demiurgos continues laughing, Alex, on the other hand, is crying because without the fourth Demon King, there is no hero. So how the hell is he going to be his ally? He tells him to please come to his senses. Demiurgos then starts flying, and he told Alex to follow him to find the hero. Alex asks about the princess, and Demiurgos responds by telling him to deal with her himself. Their conversation is being watched in a magic orb by someone. The person remarks, "Looks like the 666th is faulty goods. Not only are his origins at the bottom, but his intelligence is too." The person goes on to say that this is great for her because all she needs are his powers anyway. She smiles and thanks him for showing up at the right time. Then she says sorry, but she is going to borrow his powers for a bit, and she is sure he will forgive it too. After all, everything exists solely for the scenario. The narrative doesn't reveal who she meant by he or elaborate on what she meant by scenario. On the road, Demiurgos began singing about finding the hero while mocking him as dumb and stupid. He then yawned, prompting Alex to question why they were using a carriage when they could simply fly. Demiurgos called Alex a dummy, questioning if he planned on publicly declaring he's a demon everywhere they go. Suddenly, Alex pointed at the destroyed castle, attributing its destruction to Demiurgos and remarking, "A person worrying about such things turned a castle into a burning hell." Brushing it off, Alex asked if Demiurgos was really going to be the companion of a hero. Demiurgos affirmed, stating that it's okay to be a companion even without the blood, and expressing a desire for a simple life among the top 2% of wealthy people, with a stand-in handling the monster slaying at the forefront. Alex doubted reaching the top 2% even as a hero's companion. Demiurgos assured him, mentioning the presence of the previous demon king and one of the greatest 7 in the demon world, suggesting there was nothing to worry about. He believed the hero could easily dispatch a dragon with their help from the sidelines. Alex, recalling Demiurgos's earlier desire to be human, questioned if he planned to use magic. Demiurgos responded, questioning why he wouldn't use the abilities he possessed, adding that's why they lost 665 times. He then brushed it off and asked if the hero had something like a ranking system. Alex replied, "Yes, they indeed have a ranking system." Demiurgos then inquired if it's similar to A rank and B rank, to which Alex responded, "Something like that." He explained that the first is a D-rank dragon slayer, standing for one who can slay a dragon. Demiurgos asked if it's like a title one gets when killing a dragon, but Alex clarified that currently, dragons are neutral to both demons and humans. Dragons only attacked villages in old stories, indicating their power to kill one. The next rank is G rank, a giant slayer capable of fighting giants. Following that is L rank, a lich slayer able to kill a lich. Demiurgos questioned why there are so many ranks and if there are more. Alex stated, "After that, they're just in alphabetical order." He added that the last rank is F rank, called failed products. If they were fruits, they'd be the fallen ones. Since they don't sell, they're ground up and made into jam. Demiurgos remarked that it must be sad, and Alex further explained that the higher your ranking is, the more support you can receive from nobles or obtain a position in the country. Not only would failures be neglected for support, but they're an unwanted rank that people hope would disappear. "The human world is pretty cutthroat," Alex continued, emphasizing that there's something more critical than the hero ranking, that is, blood. The closer one is to pure blood, the stronger they become. Yes, the first ones who saved the world 66,580 years ago, the 2 saviors, the hero and the priestess. Their children and their descendants continuing the bloodline, the holy blood. They measure how much of their blood is left in the families. The purer the blood, the stronger the aura they can use. The one with the purest blood became the hero, fighting the general and winning 665 times. Then, taking the purity level of one's blood into account, whoever is closest to being a pure blood will have a higher hero rank. There are exceptions, but usually, the purer the blood, the stronger you are. Demiurgos then inquires about the significance of this blood or pure blood concept. Alex explains that everyone takes it seriously, putting their life and pride on the line. In the end, the hero and the demon king will fight. People have been fighting for 60,000 years, all because of this one sentence. It was a promise. Demiurgos questions why they can't just live a simple life like this carriage, slow and relaxing. Suddenly something catches his attention. He then gets up and points at a butterfly, asking Alex what this leafy thing flying around is. Since Demiurgos was stuck in an egg for 80 years due to the war, he remained ignorant of the world. When a butterfly landed on his finger, Alex informed him of its identity. Suddenly, a sudden gust of wind caused the butterfly to flutter off Demiurgos's finger. Confused, Demiurgos asks him, "What was that just now, the thing that flew by, messing up my hair?" Alex explained it was the wind. Demiurgos looked up at the sky and asked, "What's that thing that's been floating above our heads since earlier, the circular thing that makes my eyes hurt when I stare at it?" Alex responded, "That's the sun." Demiurgos continued, asking about a sweet scent that made his heart flutter. Alex explained, "That's the scent of spring." Demiurgos then inquired about Alex's long life. Alex confirmed he was born after the First War in the demon world. Demiurgos suggested, "You must have come up here once every 100 years. He expressed admiration for the surface, saying the previous demon kings probably never experienced such feelings. He reflected on his own fate. mentioning that if things had gone as planned, he would have been trapped for 2 more decades, destined to die at the hands of a hero he had never met. Grateful for escaping that fate, he declared that being a demon god is a job that should disappear. He asked Alex if he agreed. Alex looked at him in silence, and then Demiurgos brushed it off, saying that he is going to get some sleep and asking Alex to wake him up when they arrive. He is saying this just in case, but if he takes him back to the demon world, they'll both die. Alex then sighed and answered, "Yes, my lord," as their carriage navigated through the beautiful road. After a while, the carriage stopped, and then Alex woke him up, telling him that they have arrived. Alex then informs him that this is the place Demiurgos described, a place with little trade that isn't a militarized zone, a countryside village called Zorix. "Zorix? It's not that bad," Demiurgos said with a morning face. As the carriage entered the village, Demiurgos asked about the heroes who live in this village to Alex. Alex answers that there are only 2 families here, an A-rank family that's close to being a G-rank and a fallen family. "Looks like there isn't a D-rank family," Demiurgos says. Alex answers that if there were a D-rank at every castle, their demon army wouldn't even think of stepping foot on the surface. Demiurgos asks if D-ranks are that strong, and Alex responds with, "Yes," to which Demiurgos calls the demon army cowards. Suddenly, a conversation catches Demiurgos' attention. The people talked about whether they heard that the Trier castle was attacked by a dragon. A guy asks how such a thing could happen, mentioning that they haven't caught the dragon yet, so they shouldn't think of going anywhere near Trier castle. Another guy says that he heard about that as well, and mentions people saying that half the castle was burned down. A girl then says, "Didn't the dragons go extinct a long time ago?" wondering how such a thing could happen. A guy responds, stating that this is the era of the dragons making a comeback, and if so, it'll be hellish according to the old stories. Pointing towards the people, Demiurgos says that he thought the dragons were neutral to humans. Alex answers that he thought so too. The last time he was on the surface was 80 years ago, so something must have happened during that time. The people continued their conversation, expressing concern that they shouldn't hurry and notify the Sanctus Maximus population and ask them to send a D-rank hero. Damn, they are unaware that our protagonist has already decimated the Sanctus Maximus population and taken down the D-rank hero. After a while, they found the best hotel around, so they decided to stay here. Demiurgos then told Alex that from now on, he should stop calling him my lord and instead refer to him as master. The receptionist warmly welcomed them to their golden pavilion. Alex promptly requested a penthouse. Inwardly, the receptionist was angered, thinking, "What's with those clothes they're wearing? Aren't they just some countryside bumpkins?" On the surface, he laughed and mentioned that they must have come from afar, explaining that the penthouse was a bit expensive. Suddenly, Alex dropped a chest full of gold they had taken from Arcoma Castle. Seeing the amount of money, the man yelled at the workers, exclaiming, "Holy bitch! Why aren't you escorting the customer?" The worker rushed to escort them, and then he stumbled and fell. The worker got up, greeted them, and introduced himself as Zeke Pan Hollybeesh. He asked them to call him Zeke and then took their luggage, escorting them to their penthouse. While going up, Zeke mentioned that it's a bit rowdy due to the news about Trier Castle. A dragon from the legends had appeared, but there was no need to worry, as their village had a renowned A-rank family, almost G-rank, providing reassurance. They arrived at their door, and he opened it, welcoming them to the magnificent room, the highlight of their golden pavilion, the penthouse. He mentioned that it was his first time overseeing someone of such nobility, expressing uncertainty about meeting their expectations. Despite that, he assured them he would do his best to fulfill their needs and urged them to feel free to call on him at any time. Demiurgos then called Zeke, asking if he had the blood. As Zeke turned to respond, Demiurgos noted the difference and commented on Zeke's likely affiliation with the fallen family among the 2 hero families in Zorix. Speculating about Zeke's family having low purity descendants for generations, Demiurgos asked about Zeke's blood purity level. Blushing with embarrassment, Zeke admitted to being only an F rank, referring to himself as a failed product. Suddenly, fire engulfed the entire room, shocking Zeke while the other 2 remained nonchalant. The flames emanated from the dragon that had just arrived in the village, wreaking havoc and destroying everything in its path. Zeke, overwhelmed with panic, witnessed people on the streets running for their lives. In a sudden moment, Zeke urgently told Demiurgos and Alex to escape quickly. To his shock, the two were engaged in an argument, appearing unfazed by the perilous situation. Following the chaos, Demiurgos assured Zeke that he would become his supporter, aiding him in becoming a hero. He mentioned he had been in search of a hero and considered this encounter to be fateful. Demiurgos urged Zeke to accept his offer, promising him the kind of wealth and fame he had only dreamt of. He pledged to rid Zeke of the cursed, failed product title and questioned whether Zeke wanted to live the rest of his life as an F-rank who had never even held a sword. Demiurgos presented this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, triggering memories of people belittling F-ranks and labeling them as failures. Faced with this extraordinary chance, Zeke knelt and pleaded with Demiurgos for support. He acknowledged being an F-rank, but vowed to give his everything and ensure Demiurgos wouldn't regret giving him a chance. Zeke even offered his soul, to which Demiurgos, giggling, responded that he was going to ask for it anyway. Demiurgos declared it would be Zeke's debut stage, and his mission was to hunt down the dragon. Shocked, Zeke suggested starting with something like goblins instead. Demiurgos raised his hand, proposing a contract with 5 conditions. The contract identified Party A as Demiurgos and Party B as Zeke Pan-Holibish. 1. Party B would serve as Party A's hero companion. 2. Party B would demonstrate absolute obedience to all orders from Party A. 3. The relationship would continue indefinitely at the discretion of Party A, and only Party A could terminate the contract. 4. Fame and fortune from their adventures would be shared with Party B as determined by Party A. 5. Party B could not raise any objections to the aforementioned conditions. This contract established the terms of their partnership, solidifying their roles and obligations. Guys, I don't know. I think this somehow feels like an unbelievably fair contract. Ha 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 ha. After presenting the contract, Demiurgos instructs him to state his name if he accepts it, and then the contract will be finalized. Despite some hesitation, Zeke, recognizing the fame and fortune awaiting him as a hero, decides to accept the contract, enthusiastically shouting, "Zeke Pan-Holibish!" Demiurgos smiles and announces that it's time for Zeke's debut. He points at the dragon and instructs Zeke to slay it. Alex raises a valid point, mentioning that humans typically can't easily slay dragons. Demiurgos comes up with an idea. Zeke doesn't need to actually slay the dragon. They will handle it. He outlines the plan. Alex will confront the dragon, defeat it, and then drop it in front of Zeke. Positioned in place, Zeke will swing the sword at the falling dragon, creating the illusion that he is the one who vanquished it. Upon hearing the plan, Alex raises concerns, noting that people would be suspicious if an F-rank like Zeke were to suddenly slay a dragon. He adds that wouldn't being a D-rank hero companion make him stand out too much to live in peace. In response, Demiurgos makes a disturbing face while looking at Zeke and unexpectedly tears off his clothes. Not stopping there, he grabs a pot, uses his laser eyes to create 2 holes in it, places it on Zeke's head, and ties Zeke's bellboy uniform around his neck like a superhero cape. With these alterations, Zeke transforms into the masked hero, Potman. Demiurgos insists that a hero must wear a cape and undies for the full effect, ensuring anonymity. He believes the sudden appearance of a mysterious new hero would add to the intrigue. After this, Alex volunteers to bring the dragon over, and Demiurgos gives his approval with a simple, "Okay." As Alex departs, Demiurgos turns to Zeke and suggests they head down. Feeling embarrassed about his unusual attire for a dragon fight, Zeke questions if they are genuinely going out like this. In response, Demiurgos spots a nearby broom, kicks it toward Zeke, and declares it to be his holy sword. Despite Zeke's heightened embarrassment, Demiurgos instructs him to stand there holding the makeshift sword, assuring him that fame and fortune beyond his imagination will follow, even if the dragon is right in front of his face. Bro sold his soul to the devil, and he is now about to undergo the humiliation ritual. That's crazy. Zeke had a weird feeling that he couldn't understand at that time. Suddenly he tightened his grip, as if he could destroy whatever came his way. Extreme desire. That must have been due to something in Zeke's blood, the instincts of a hero that had been sleeping in his hemoglobin, the blood of the hero wanting to rip the Demon King before him to shreds. However, not knowing anything, Zeke probably thought like this. Bro was excited to have fame and fortune. Currently, he feels like he can actually achieve it and is gaining courage. Suddenly, Demiurgos called him and Zeke answered, "Yes, master." Demiurgos told him, "Go, my dog." Zeke then ran, barking like a dog. Meanwhile, outside, people were panicking and covering themselves, trying to survive this hellish place, hoping to be saved. The dragon was flying above, raining down flames on the village. Suddenly, a portal appeared in the sky, and Alex emerged from it. He stood, observing the monstrous being. Suddenly, Alex put his hand on his shoulder, removed his coat, revealing 13 hidden hands. Readying himself, he leapt towards the dragon, landing on its neck. He lifted his hands and pierced them into the dragon's body, aiming for the heart. As his hands grabbed the dragon's heart, Alex said that since he had obtained its heart, it shouldn't resist his commands. He then asked a question. "Why did you appear in this place? Didn't the dragons and humans come to a peace agreement?" Suddenly, Alex's eyes widened as he noticed a purple parasite-looking thing attached on the dragon's body. The dragon, obviously being possessed by that parasite, started speaking an unknown language. Alex looked serious as he asked how a dragon like him knew such a filthy language. The dragon augmented its speed, flying faster. Meanwhile, Zeke was on the low ground, standing and awaiting. Suddenly, people who hid in their houses saw him and asked who this person was and why he wasn't hiding. They wondered if he was trying to fight the dragon alone and questioned if he was a hero. They then observed his outfit, which made him appear more like a pervert than a hero. Upon hearing those remarks, Zeke became visibly embarrassed, inwardly finding the situation awkward. Now, fear and embarrassment intertwined. Meanwhile, Demiurgos sat nearby and encouraged, "Hey, masked hero, keep it up, save our Zorix." Upon hearing Demiurgos's words, the people began to believe that Zeke was truly a hero, and relief swept over them. Gripping his broom tightly, Zeke mentioned that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he couldn't afford to miss it. Thoughts of fame and fortune flooded his mind. Simultaneously, the dragon continued to fly recklessly in the air, growling and spewing flames. Alex remarked that controlling it would be challenging. Since it had come to this, he thought, it couldn't be helped. Suddenly, his back started moving, and numerous hands emerged from it. He referred to this move as 100 demonic hands constricting poison. The dragon screamed after Alex's attack. With one hand remaining, Alex used his move heart-piercing on the dragon, causing it to scream again. Suddenly, something grabs his attention. The purple parasite is now transferring from the dragon's body to Alex. The dragon manages to utter, "Prepare, I certainly saw. The one who was thought to be dead has returned. This lie." The purple entity launches itself onto Alex's face, attempting to control him, just as it did with the dragon. Alex now knows that this creature was the cause of the sudden dragon attacks on humans. Meanwhile, Demiurgos sits, waiting and wondering about Alex's actions. Demiurgos implores him to hurry down as the audience is eagerly waiting. Picking his nose and wearing a foolish expression, Demiurgos asks why it's taking so long to kill just one dragon. Suddenly, the dragon began growling, and the purple glow in its eyes vanished as Alex employed his 100 hands, breaking all of its bones. With the dragon now unable to fly, it plummeted rapidly. Demiurgos then called Zeke, instructing him to get ready as the dragon approached. He emphasized the importance of timing and a precise swing. As the dragon neared, Zeke expressed his reluctance to face death. In response, Demiurgos chuckled, assuring Zeke that he had vowed to protect him with his name on the line. Upon hearing this, something within Zeke's blood began to glow. Gripping his broom tightly, he convinced himself that he could face the impending challenge. Meanwhile, Alex continued to struggle as the parasite took control, absorbing him. Moments later, his left side succumbed to the parasite, transforming his hands and growing eyeballs. A battle ensued between his normal and possessed hands, putting Alex in a dire situation. In a sudden realization, Alex used his skill, 100 demonic hands, 1,000 glows whip, managing to sever many parts of the parasite from his body. Unfortunately, a piece clung to his face. Determined, he grabbed it and pulled with all his might in an attempt to free himself. Meanwhile, Demiurgos observed the dragon's descending speed and then warned Alex to slow down, fearing their hero might get crushed. Alex struggled to free himself as the dragon rapidly approached, causing panic among the onlookers who screamed for everyone to run. Some prepared to seek refuge in the basement. Zeke stood resolute, readying himself for the impending danger. Demiurgos, rising from his seat, called out Alex's name, questioning his actions and advising him to slow down. In contrast, Zeke remained steadfast, declaring his determination not to budge. He vowed to defeat the dragon in a single strike. In a brief flashback, Zeke's father cautioned him to be careful and revealed a skill called Moonlight Glow, a family secret passed down for generations. The father explained that Zeke needed to learn this technique in preparation for the potential invasion of the Demon King's army. Young Zeke expressed concern about the neighbor's doubts regarding his ability to participate in the Demon King's subjugation, citing the country's limitations. His father reassured him, emphasizing their family's holy bloodline and expressing confidence that Zeke would undoubtedly become a heroic figure in the fight against the Demon King. So, he should learn well. With a smile, Zeke answers, "Okay, Dad." Back to the present, Zeke lifted his broom, leaned back, and prepared to use his Moonlight Glow attack. Meanwhile, Alex managed to get the parasite off his face, and Demiurgos used a skill called Doom's Guillotine, exploding the dragon's flesh. Zeke continued his attack with Demon King Splitter and slashed down, causing the dragon's body to explode and spread blood everywhere. Zeke, with his eyes closed, screamed in shock. Upon opening them, he saw the dragon's blood painting the surroundings. His attention then shifted to the cheering people, thanking him for slaying the dragon, the hero sent by God, they said. Blushing at the praises, Zeke suddenly noticed Demiurgos fake clearing his throat to catch his attention. Demiurgos said, "Shouldn't you quickly get changed and hide, Sir Masked Hero?" Blushing with embarrassment, Zeke replied, Yes." He then started running away to find some clothes. Meanwhile, Alex stood atop the church in silence, with purple marks where the parasite had been. He looked at the dragon and heard it say, "The one who was thought to be dead has returned." The next day, Demiurgos woke up from a good nap, stretching his hands. Suddenly, Alex entered the room with a drink and informed Demiurgos that humans typically start their morning with a cup of coffee. Just then, Zeke entered the room, announcing trouble. Blushing and smiling, he shared that the whole village was actively searching for the masked hero, considering him their savior. Demiurgos inquired about Zeke's attire, noting its dirtiness. Smiling, Zeke explained that due to the village being in ruins from yesterday's incident, he had been helping cleaning things up. Considering the good pay for manual labor, Demiurgos responded, "Well, it's fine. Everything is going according to my plan." He winked as sunlight brightened the room, expressing joy about waking up to refreshing sunlight and enjoying morning coffee. Demiurgos mentioned how good mornings on the surface are, and Alex revealed that the coffee was made from a dragon's tongue and left eyeball. Demiurgos expressed satisfaction with the taste. Meanwhile, villagers were diligently repairing the damage caused by the dragon the previous night. People complain about things being heavy, and others tell them to stop complaining and move quickly unless they want to do this all night. The women and kids come to give food to the men and motivate them to eat before they work hard. Zeke is also working, lifting up rocks and being commanded by a fatty. Nearby, Demiurgos sits and observes, remarking that they're working hard to try to rebuild this lackluster village. He notes that Zeke is working hard too. Alex agrees and then says that when he spoke to Zeke yesterday, he told him about how he had done odd jobs since he was young. His house was poor, and raising a hero is expensive, so he did many jobs like doing laundry, cleaning, lumbering, grave digging. Naming things that he hasn't done yet would be faster and easier to name everything he has done. Demiurgos then says that he has decided something. He explains that since they have found a hero and traveling around is annoying, they will just start in this village. It's small and insignificant, but he somehow likes it. He says that it's the start of Deus, the human. He then gets up and says with a joyful expression, "Shall we get going? We'll leave Zeke to work." Alex asks him where to. With still a smile on his face, Demiurgos answers, "Of course it's to go sell off the dragon leather. Isn't dragon leather expensive since it's used on equipment? Our goal is to be part of the top 2% of wealthy people, isn't it?" To his shock, Alex tells him that the Heroes Bureau took all of it last night. Bursting in anger, Alex explains that the corpses of dragons are so strong, normal people are unable to take them. Demiurgos was so mad that his tongue became a JoJo character as he exclaims, "Fuck, then we killed it for no reason." With a menacing tone, he declares they will go, and Alex nervously asks where. Demiurgos responds that they will tear down the hero's bureau, leaving Alex in shock. He advises him to calm down, explaining that the hero's bureau is the main base of the heroes. Despite Demiurgos' strength, fighting the heroes alone is deemed crazy by Alex. He emphasizes the risk. If the heroes discover the Demon King's absence from the demon realm, it could be disastrous. Alex reminds Demiurgos of his earlier statement about becoming a companion of the heroes. Demiurgos nonchalantly replies, "So?" Alex points out that in the human realm, one must register at the hero's bureau to become a hero. If the hero's bureau were to disappear, who would acknowledge Zeke as a hero? Demiurgos pauses to contemplate this, leading Alex to wonder if he has halted the destruction of the demon race. Demiurgos, having an idea, suggests recouping losses from the neighboring country. In shock, Alex questions this decision, stating, "I thought you were Deus, the human now, not Demiurgos the Demon King." Demiurgos insists they will proceed the next day. Alex proposes returning to the demon realm, but Demiurgos remains firm. The following day, they sit in a carriage, navigating through the beautiful horizon. Alex attempts to communicate with Demiurgos, but receives no response. Growing angry, he shouts Demiurgos' name until finally getting an answer. Alex suggests returning to the underworld, noting that they have enjoyed the surface long enough. He says that the entire demon realm is eagerly awaiting his return. He explains that the fated day is 20 years from now and they don't have time to waste like this. He urges him to hurry and fully master the Demon King's art to take over the world. Unfazed, Demiurgos replies, "That's your problem," stating he has no reason to comply just because they want him to. "A Demon King will appear and he will attack the human realm," he asserts. This seemingly obvious action is accepted as naturally as breathing by the 665 demon kings before Demiurgos, the entire demon realm, and the humans destined to be attacked. Demiurgos counters, questioning the need for God if everything unfolds as desired. He suggests it's a valuable experience and advises him to ponder the absence of a demon king. Suddenly, Alex interjects, exclaiming, "It doesn't matter who the girl is, at least you should have a child to succeed the 666th Demon King." In response, Demiurgos retorts, "What? Any girl? How dare you use such words in this time and age? No one would doubt that you're a demon. Shoo! Go away, you demon!" Undeterred, Alex brushes him off, insisting he won't leave until Demiurgos provides an heir for the underworld. Demiurgos suggests that since he's behaving this way, he should permanently reside here as his acting servant. Alex proposes the idea of searching for him a wife, a woman who would best suit him. Demiurgos replied that if he brings up marriage again, he will personally go and destroy the demon realm. After that conversation, they remained silent and navigated through this exquisite place adorned with magnificent flowers. Suddenly, Demiurgos broke the silence, saying, "But does that even work?" Alex looked at him and asked, "What are you talking about?" Nervously, Demiurgos said, "Does that princess from before even work?" Confused, Alex asked, "The princess?" Blushing and nervously, Demiurgos hesitantly continued, "You know S.X.?" Alex responded with confusion, "S.X.?" Suddenly, Demiurgos got up with embarrassment and clarified that he was talking about pregnancy, asking if humans can be impregnated by demons. Unaware of Demiurgos' intended message, Alex affirmed that the method by which demons and humans mate is exactly the same. He explained that typically, human males produce sperm with their testicles before ejaculation. Once a sperm cell enters the womb, it penetrates the female's egg, resulting in a child after 37 to 42 weeks. These words entered one of Demiurgos' ears and left the other, prompting him to suggest skipping the sex education. Alex then confirmed that if Demiurgos really wanted to, he could make his demonic sperm flow into another party's body automatically. Any direct intercourse would lead to pregnancy with a success rate of 99.999%, while just a deep kiss had a 50% chance. His peck also has a 25% chance of impregnating a girl. Demiurgos is shocked that his peck alone can lead to pregnancy. Alex informs him that even holding hands with a woman can result in pregnancy, leaving Demiurgos surprised and questioning the nature of his body, feeling like it's designed solely for reproduction. Frustrated, he curses, stating that this body's purpose is too evident: kill and have descendants. As he learns more, he grows increasingly displeased. Alex claims it's a blessed body, the hope and savior of their demon realm, bestowed by God. Demiurgos sarcastically responds, "Blessed my ass." He states that being just a part that's printed every 100 years makes him uncomfortable. He dislikes the pressure of high expectations on him and wonders about the significance of his opinions in this situation. Suddenly, both of their attention shifted as they heard screaming coming from a girl running from menacing-looking people. Crying, she pleaded for them to save her because she was being chased by mountain bandits. Alex then said, "It's a beautiful lady in distress," and he asked Demiurgos to go help her. Demiurgos responded, questioning why he should. Alex answered that you never know, something good might happen. Demiurgos then remarked, "Doesn't the situation look suspicious?" Confused, Alex asked what it was. Demiurgos explained that she's suddenly running towards them, asking for help. Alex retorted, "The situation where the beauty asks for help while being chased is a ranked first cliché of the fantasy genre, so what's wrong with it?" Demiurgos pointed out that there's nothing blocking the sight surrounding them, so where did they come from? He added, "Even if you can see the forest, it's way over there. And more importantly, do you think they wouldn't notice us? The entire time they're chasing her, neither you nor I noticed them." Demiurgos asked him if he was the one who set up this poorly crafted plot. Alex inquired about what he meant, to which Demiurgos responded, "Using that girl to make me bear an heir." Alex sighed and questioned what kind of person he perceived him to be. He claimed to be Alex, the greatest strategist of the demon realm, stating he wouldn't allow such a bad idea to pass. The girl arrived near the carriage crying and exclaimed, "Sir Hero, I'm being chased by mountain bandits, please help." Demiurgos clarified that he was not a hero, but a companion of one. She continued crying, pleading, "Sir Hero's companion, please help me, the mountain bandits are after me." Demiurgos informed her that they were a high-level party that hunted dragons and wouldn't undertake minor quests like dealing with mountain bandits. Frustrated, the girl muttered in a low tone, "Ah, fuck, why are you so picky?" Demiurgos angrily pointed at her, asking if she had just cursed. She then cried and denied it, saying, What the fuck? No, Sir Hero's companion, please help this weak young maiden." An axe abruptly struck the carriage, seizing Demiurgos's attention. A voice began giggling, taunting, "Hey, little kids!" The mountain bandits laughed at Demiurgos's pale face, instructing him to get lost with that crappy carriage if they don't want to meet their demise. Another bandit questioned their peculiar attire, asking if they came from the future or something. Looking at the person who damaged the carriage with an axe, Demiurgos stared at him and said, "Burn for eternity." Suddenly, the guy started burning in purple flames, rolling on the ground and screaming in pain, asking his friends to put the fire out. They were all flabbergasted as Demiurgos told them that the fire could not be extinguished. He informed them that no matter who they were or what magic they used, it would never stop burning and the person would never die, simply burning away for eternity until the end of the world. He then asked them who was next, inviting others to join him in burning for eternity. The bandits wasted no time and ran for their lives, leaving their burning companion behind and dubbing Demiurgos the devil. After they left, the girl looked at Demiurgos with a happy face. He told her to get lost now that the bandits had departed. However, she insisted he wait a minute, revealing that their temple had been taken over by mountain bandits. All the priestesses had been enslaved and the holy relic was lost. She pleaded with him to rid them of the mountain bandits and save their temple. Picking his nose, Demiurgos refused, stating he didn't want to undertake such a low-level quest. The girl, frustrated, gripped the carriage so hard that she broke it a little. Despite this, Demiurgos told Alex that they should depart now, to which Alex answered, "Yes, master." Suddenly, she tells them to wait, mentioning that she heard Demiurgos mention dragons earlier. She asks if he happens to be in the company of a hero dressed in underwear. She says that the temple currently occupied by the Peak of the Dragons belongs to the god of the dragons, the true Gold Dragon's temple. If he helps drive away the mountain bandits, they'll reward him with the true Gold Dragon's helmet. After hearing that, Demiurgos decides to agree to her request. Moments later, steps are seen going upstairs. These steps belong to Alex, who is currently huffing and puffing while Demiurgos stood on his back. Alex asks why they don't just fly over, to which Demiurgos responds, "Come on, how can we fly? It's not like I'm the Demon King." Alex suggests that he at least give him a piggyback ride properly instead of just standing on his back, as he feels like his back is breaking. Sweating, Alex finds the situation suspicious. He mentions that the girl has been running for 30 minutes straight on such a steep mountain with the body of a human. Demiurgos then says that who she is doesn't matter. He is not sure what she's up to, but if she's telling even a single lie, he vows to skin her head off to wear it if he has to. Demiurgos then questions, "The god of dragons, the true dragon, did the dragons worship a god?" Alex answers by saying no, explaining that it's similar to how he is worshipped in the demon realm. The true gold dragon is also the one who stands at the peak of all dragons. He explains that them, the demons, the dragons and the humans, every living being in this world, only has one god, the one who created this world, the Creator. Demiurgos looks at the sky and says, "Then isn't God only favoring the humans?" He states that the demons and the dragons are just used as side characters. Alex then tells him not to doubt, stating that God is the only truth, the perfect love. If they can take over Horsen, personally blessed by the light of God, they will be favored. Looking up, Demiurgos says, "That's one weird way to show love." As they arrive on top of the mountain, Alex falls on the floor due to exhaustion, and Demiurgos walks on top of him, calling him weak. He then says that he will be relying on him again on the way down as well. Upon entering the cave, Demiurgos calls the girl and asks where the mountain bandits and the true gold dragon's helmet are. He tells her to hand it over while speaking nicely. Alex then warns him to be careful because something doesn't feel right. Suddenly, the door of the cave closes and they find themselves in darkness until giggles are heard. The girl from earlier transforms into her original form and tells them they've done well to get here. Demiurgos then says, "Huh? Looks like you were the mountain bandit that took over the temple. What about the helmet?" The girl asks him how dare he run his filthy mouth off, inquiring if he still does not understand the situation he is in. She tells them to bow down to her and introduces herself as the god of all dragons, Law. The one who rules over all dragons and at the same time the mother of all dragons, the only golden dragon, the true gold dragon known as the Golden Law. Demiurgos was confused, and then Alex told him that they had gotten themselves caught up in a big problem. Law started laughing, asking if they were surprised because it was beyond their lowly expectations. She told them to beg if they were afraid, emphasizing that she was not one to be petty. Putting his hand on his chin, Demiurgos said, "The god of the dragons, Law. That's amazing." After hearing his words, she giggled and asked if he finally understood. If so, she would command him to do something for her as a sign of apology. With a stupid expression, Demiurgos said, "Huh? What are you on about? Law of the dragons or mother of the dragons or something? I'm just saying I want a cool title like that too." He mentioned that he always felt something was lacking when he introduced himself. So he decided to now introduce himself as watching over everything from the world's darkness, the top 2% of deep, dark alpha males. He then asked Alex what he thought about that, to which Alex clapped his hands and said, "Oh, as expected of my lord." Law got angered from their ignorance, her face red due to anger, and told them to stop talking nonsense. She urged them to hurry up and beg for forgiveness, saying, "Don't you have something to apologize for?" Demiurgos then asked what she was talking about, stating that he didn't think he had done anything to get involved with her. Pointing at him, she said, "Didn't you kill a dragon yesterday?" She emphasized that she is the mother of all dragons and he had killed one of her children. Demiurgos then asks if she is causing such a ruckus just because of that. Suddenly she gets up and dashes towards him. Her face is near his and she repeats his words. "Just because of that?" She says that he must have a death wish or something. Suddenly a burst of flames surrounds them as she declares that this place is the Golden Jade Realm. Even if he is the Demon King, he stands no chance against her in this place. Alex is shocked and tells Demiurgos that this place is the territory of the Golden Dragon. They are inside her domain. Fighting her here is dangerous. Law starts laughing and then commends Alex for his knowledge. She tells Demiurgos to hurry up and kneel before her. To her bewilderment, Demiurgos asks her if she is doing this despite knowing who he is. With a menacing tone, he says that if she is the true Golden Dragon, he can just take her face to use. He tells her to prepare her face since he will be ripping her skin off her face. After hearing those words, she bursts into anger, her eye veins turning red as she exclaims, "You dare!" Demiurgos placed his finger on her lips and told her that she should first apologize for her lies. Confused, she asked him what he was talking about. He stepped back and explained that he hadn't come to the surface to cause trouble. He just wanted to live among people as a hero's companion, observing from the shadows. With that in mind, he headed to the village, but her child, the dragon, emerged out of nowhere, burning and tearing everything down. He asked her what he was supposed to do then. His only choice was to act in self-defense. All the while, she didn't show her face as her child went on a rampage. She appeared only afterward, pretending to be a priestess and suddenly declaring, "Tada! I'm the true golden dragon, apologize!" He continued, asking her if she thought he would simply accept it by saying, "Oh, Master True Golden Dragon, please forgive us just this once," or something similar. He pressed her, asking if she thought it was acceptable to do whatever she wanted just because she was a higher being. He then asked if all dragons were like her. Alex joined in, agreeing with Demiurgos. He said it was a huge miscommunication to think she could do as she pleased just because she had the power. He continued, stating that anyone would fight for their safety, no matter who it was, and that the dragons were the ones who broke the peace treaty in the first place. Therefore, they should be the ones apologizing. Demiurgos agreed, urging her to apologize quickly. Noticing her hesitation, he made a disgusted face and said that whenever you see a problem child, you can always tell the parents are the source. Nervously, she responded that she wasn't the real parent of the dragons. Alex then asked if she was trying to avoid her responsibilities, shocking her even more. He continued, asking if she wanted to exercise her rights as a god but didn't want the responsibility that came with it. Demiurgos joined in again, asking if she had seen that one show where they always blame the child for being problematic, but when you delve into it, it's always the parents who don't pay attention to their children until they cause trouble. He added that all the good parents were getting a bad reputation because of parents like her. Alex joined the conversation again. He said this isn't a problem they can just gloss over. As the representative of the dragons and the true golden dragon, she should take responsibility, apologize, and relinquish her position for the incident of a dragon breaking the peace treaty. After listening to all their chatter, she found herself dumbfounded, feeling something was wrong with the situation. She asked why she was the one at fault. They turned their backs on her while Demiurgos told her that of course she was the one at fault and then told her to let them out of the golden jade realm or whatever. However, she suddenly told them to wait, asking them to at least listen to her request since they were already there. Demiurgos looked back at her and told her to apologize first. When he noticed her hesitation, he turned his back on her again and said if she didn't want to apologize, she could forget it because her apology meant nothing to him anyway. However, she suddenly told them to wait again and nervously said, "I'm sorry." Demiurgos then put his hand on her head and jokingly told her that he wasn't entirely satisfied, but since she insisted, he would accept her apology. This entire situation felt off to her, but she decided to let it slide since she is benevolent. After all that, he asked her what her request was, to which she answered that she wanted them to hunt the dragons for her. With an indescribably ugly expression, Demiurgos asked if the god of the dragons, the mother, the true golden dragon, was asking a demon king like him to kill the dragons that were like children to her. When she said yes, he started laughing, asking her if she thought he was stupid. He knew this was obviously a trap. Why would she want him to believe her nonsensical words? Now he planned to really take her head off. However, she said she could explain herself, to which Alex said it must be because of that purple parasite. He explained that it was in the dragon's body, a weird parasite-like thing. It looked as if it was taking over the dragon's mind. She confirmed that Alex was right, and continued by saying that there were problems with the dragons, specifically the ones against the peace treaty with humans, the extremist bastards. The dragon from yesterday became a sacrificial pawn to those hardliners. Losing a lover to humans, or having their child hunted down for materials to make weapons, those with such experiences gathered to form what is now called the extremists. Since they are required to be neutral, those guys, blinded by anger, used a strong, unheard-of magic, tainting the ones who were living peacefully and making them attack the villages. They aimed to cause another war between the dragons and humans. That's why she pleaded with them to hunt those dragons before a war occurred, so her innocent children wouldn't be used as tools of war, dying a dog's death. After all her explanation, Demiurgos said he understood. She was asking him to hunt and also stop the dragons who were living peacefully from dying a meaningless death while being controlled by those troublesome extremists using that parasite. She confirmed that was about right, so he asked her what she would give him in return. He explained that if he gave, he should also receive something. Annoyed, she asked what he wanted, to which he answered, 5 dragon scales. He said that it's known the weaponry crafted with dragon materials is the best, so he wanted her to give him 5 scales for each dragon he hunted, something he believed was doable. Also, he wanted armors and weapons crafted using dragon breath worth around 1,000 gold on the market. She paused for a moment, shocked, and said he was acting like a scammer. He then snapped his fingers and told her she could think whatever she wanted as he created the contract. The contract was about Demiurgos performing the job, and the dragon god would pay him for his effort. The job description was simple: catch the dragons causing trouble in the human villages and castles and hand them over to the Golden Law. The reward was 5 dragon scales per dragon, plus weapons worth 1,000 gold to be paid by the morning following the task's completion. If this agreement was violated, the dragon god would become a slave to Demiurgos. The contract would take effect once she stated her name. He explained that it was a contract with a demon, so she shouldn't try anything funny as her soul was on the line. Understanding this, she cursed, but had no choice but to state her name, which was True Golden Dragon Golden Law. After that, the contract was accepted. Demiurgos grinned as the contract was now established. He then told her to open the door, promising to take care of the situation quickly. However, she called out to him again, stating that he must capture the dragons alive because they couldn't afford to let any more die. Demiurgos smirked and answered, "Of course, customer." Outside, they both sighed, agreeing that things were turning out better than expected. Suddenly, Demiurgos remembered something, turned swiftly, and ran back toward the cave. He called for the dragon god, but the cave had returned to normal, and she was gone. Alex asked what was wrong, to which Demiurgos, with anger, cursed and said he had forgotten to get the true golden dragon's helmet. Alex told him it was too late to return to the Golden Jade realm since they weren't dragons. Demiurgos cursed the dragon for being tricky and scamming them again, vowing one day to take her head. Back at the penthouse, someone shouted in confusion, "A weapons trader?" With a cute face, Demiurgos answered, "Yeah." Alex asked him why, and then burst into anger, demanding why a weapons trader. He asked if Demiurgos had left the demons behind just to come to the surface and sell a few weapons. Demiurgos shouted back, explaining that humans here hunt dragons to craft weapons. Didn't Alex have any thoughts on that? He said that Alex had no business sense. With a confident expression, Demiurgos elaborated on the monopoly of dragon scales and weapons provided by the true golden dragon, emphasizing how good that would be since his goal was to become part of the top 2% of the richest people. If he engaged in this business, he would receive weapons in bulk by catching some dragons. Wasn't that just easy money? He was confident that his plan was a business with no chance of failing since there was a war every 100 years. Alex then told him that there wouldn't be a war without a demon king, urging him to get a hold of himself. Demiurgos turned back and asked Alex if he still didn't know who he was. With a menacing expression, he said that being a weapons trader was just a means to make money for his real plan. He had no intention of living life as a trader. He asked Alex if he had forgotten that someone who operates the shadows from the depths and someone who possesses all the weapons in the world. Alex acknowledged that he knew it. He knew Demiurgos hadn't forgotten about the underworld. Demiurgos told him to quickly take the failed product, the hero Zeke, and find a decent place to set up shop. Alex didn't waste any time. He took Zeke with him and dashed away. Now alone, Demiurgos mused why he would do something as bothersome as running a business. Of course, the ultimate goal was to become the greatest landlord in the fantasy world. He found it amusing that Alex was so gullible. He then lay down on the bed, relaxing while looking at the sky. He started recalling his adventures, destroying the first city he visited, meeting Zeke the moment Alex fought the dragon, and the day the dragon god gave him the quest to capture the dragons alive. Smirking, he thought to himself that he had taken care of the money issue and found a dumb hero. He guessed he was about ready. Now he just needed to laze around and become rich. However, what is this empty feeling? Flesh and blood? Would he feel better if he killed all the humans in this village? Suddenly, a voice in his head tells him to kill them all, to destroy the world, to violate the women, and to enslave the men, turning the surface into hell. If he succeeded, he would no longer be stuck in the cycle of being reborn every 100 years in the sunless underworld. Demiurgos listened to the voice, then closed his eyes and told it to shut up so he could sleep. The sun was setting, and Alex had shown him this place, which was now their weapon shop they were opening. He explained that the previous owners had died during the dragon attack, so they got it at a steal. Demiurgos stretched and said it wasn't too bad, adding that Alex was so quick he didn't even give him time to sleep. Alex explained that he was so excited as soon as he heard the real plan that he couldn't stay calm. Demiurgos nervously replied, "Ah ha ha, right, the real plan, let's do it." Alex said he thought it would turn out to be a pretty good store if they asked Zeke to fix it up. Demiurgos asked if Zeke could fix buildings as well, to which Alex answered that Zeke had said he did carpentry work before. Demiurgos then acknowledged Zeke's skills at such a young age. He then changed the subject, and they started talking about blood purity levels and if they were inherited. To his knowledge, a child born from parents who are close to pure blood could still be an F-class. Alex agreed and told him that, on the other hand, there have been many examples of children born from F-class parents and a priestess becoming the strongest. Demiurgos then said, "So it's just random?" To which Alex answered, "Yes. But then, doesn't that mean Zeke, considered a failed product, also has hope?" Demiurgos said they shouldn't just label him as an F-class just because he's from an F-class family. Alex answered that it's a bit complicated. He explained that talent may not be inherited, but wealth is. Families who frequently produce advanced heroes or priestesses are able to build up wealth equivalent to that of a king. Using such wealth, they are able to employ various means to increase their children's blood purity level and class. Basically, Alex was saying that once you become an F-class family, it'll be hard to improve your standing even when they produce an heir with great talent. Also, considering how Zeke has stated that he is an F-class, he must have already been graded. Demiurgos asks Alex if he knows what he is thinking right now, to which Alex replies, "No." With an angry expression, Demiurgos demands, "What's the deal with the demon race always losing to these pitiful humans who argue with money?" He was practically stalking Alex while questioning him, and Alex simply apologizes. Demiurgos wonders why he should bother, thinking that the demon world doesn't matter anymore. He brushes it off and asks where Zeke might have gone. Moments later, Alex leads him to where Zeke is. They find him selling food at a little cavern he calls Hero Noodles. When Zeke sees them, he happily greets Demiurgos and asks if he slept well. Demiurgos inquires about what Zeke is doing and why he is selling noodles. Zeke explains that he had some time during the night, so he decided to try out this business. Despite appearances, it brings in decent money. Demiurgos sits down and asks for a bowl, which Zeke readily prepares. He adds hot water to the noodles, chops up some vegetables, and finishes the dish, which looks delicious. Demiurgos, having never tried noodles before, is amazed by the taste. He uses chopsticks to eat, slurps the noodles, chews, swallows, and compliments Zeke, saying it's very tasty. Alex decides to taste the noodles too. Using his slurping skills, he inhales the noodles and also finds them delicious. Demiurgos finds them so tasty that he tells Zeke to give up being a hero and sell noodles instead. Zeke smiles and takes it as a compliment, sincerely thanking Demiurgos. He explains that thanks to Demiurgos taking him in, he could buy school uniforms for his younger siblings who are attending hero school. He always felt bad that they were the only ones without uniforms. Although his siblings never complained, Zeke says they should have seen their faces when he got them the uniforms. Still slurping, Demiurgos asks what the hero school is. Zeke explains that he might be taking on more than he can handle, but he is currently sending his siblings to a private hero elementary school. It may be too late for him, but he wants to raise them as a hero and a priestess. Suddenly, someone disrupts the good mood by complaining about finding a fly in their bowl. As their attention shifted to the voice, they saw a couple, with the man cursing and saying he had only decided to eat at such a trashy-looking place because he was so hungry. He complained about the result, while his wife chimed in, stating that she had said she didn't want to eat in a place like this. Zeke apologized, pointing out that there weren't even any flies there. However, the man, still angry, tossed the hot food at Zeke. Unfortunately, some of it stained Demiurgos's clothes. The man continued shouting, asking if Zeke was implying he was lying. He called Zeke a bastard and asked if he wanted to know who his father was, boasting that he could have the shop closed with just one word. Suddenly, the man recognized Zeke as a member of the Holy Bitch family, known for their failures. The wife joined in, saying she had heard about that too, and asked why the Holy Bitch family was still around. The man burst into laughter, and the other customers began to recognize the family, wondering if the chef was a hero. Zeke corrected them, saying it was Holy Bish, not Holy Bitch. The man continued mocking, saying that Zeke's father used to come begging for work, and now his child was selling trash at a stall. Like father, like son, he said with a mocking tone. Demiurgos had enough of this. He looked at the man and asked why this annoying fly was constantly buzzing around. The man, confident as ever, asked if Demiurgos was talking to him and if he wanted to die. However, Demiurgos simply lifted his hand toward the man. Confused, the man watched as Demiurgos menacingly said, "It's a fly!" and closed his fist. The man started folding like an omelette. The woman, terrified, screamed and ran away, asking to be saved. But Demiurgos wasn't going to let her escape. A purple hole appeared on his palm, and both the man and woman were sucked into it until nothing was left. Afterward, Demiurgos menacingly said that those who show no gratitude to the hero who saved them have no right to enjoy the surface. Everyone present was stunned, their jaws wide open, while Demiurgos continued eating like nothing had happened. Suddenly, a paper fell from the sky, landing in his bowl. It was a message from Golden Law, informing him that a dragon had been sighted at Leia Castle and he should depart immediately. After reading it, he put down his chopsticks and happily told Zeke to close the shop because they should complete the first request from their VIP customer, a good opportunity to earn some money. It was night, and our hero's carriage was zooming down the road. Alex looked at Zeke and saw him trembling, so he asked if he was nervous. Zeke replied that he guessed he was. He never expected someone like himself to be going against orcs and goblins, let alone a dragon. He would have never dreamed of it before meeting Alex and Demiurgos. Looking back, Zeke said to Demiurgos that he didn't know if Alex would believe him, but whenever he looked at Demiurgos, he felt a surge of confidence as if it's just a dragon, no big deal. But he was sure he would be scared stiff when he actually faced one. Alex told him that was a good mindset to have. Regardless of his thoughts, Demiurgos had already designated him a hero. Even if it didn't feel like it most of the time, he was their leader on this adventure, so he should be confident. Zeke nervously answered, yes, but Alex told him he didn't sound much like a leader. Zeke then answered again with a confident, yes. As they sped down the road, Alex said they were approaching Leia Castle as they rounded the corner, so he asked them to hang on tight. As the speed of the horse increased, they could see the castle in the corner of their eyes, filled with snow and ice, with a gigantic dragon conquering it. The dragon was being controlled by the purple parasite. Zeke then said the castle had already been overrun and wondered where the people were. Demiurgos told him to calm down because the people were all gathered over there. Alex said there should be several G-class heroes in a castle that size, so they likely managed to escape. The stage was set, and it seemed the audience had gathered. It was showtime, so Demiurgos told Zeke to get ready. Meanwhile, near the castle in the cold environment, people were coughing and cursing. Some asked where the dragon had come from, and if this was the end of the world. Others asked for blankets for the wounded, while some felt like they would freeze to death. One guy said they should stay close to each other and not spread out, and others prayed to God to save them, though some were annoyed by the prayers. However, the man continued praying, pleading for God to stop the freezing snowstorm, asking if God had forsaken them. Others joined in, saying they didn't know about any gods, but it looked like the king had left them to die on their own. Meanwhile, magic was being used nearby as many mages cast spells to keep the king from freezing. However, the ungrateful pig complained that it was too hot and felt like a sauna. He asked where the heroes who had gone to seek help from the Sanctus Maximus kingdom were. A mage told him that it was highly likely they had all fallen to the dragon because he was unable to contact them. Angrily, the pig ordered the mage to do something about it, fearing he might die from the heat. Suddenly, our heroes crashed through the hot barrier where the king was. They flew right over the pig, shouting, "The hero has arrived!" As they passed overhead, the pig looked up in shock and disbelief, remarking that it was just a pervert in panties carrying a broomstick. The pig screamed at his mages and guards to catch them and to hurry up and cast the cooling magic again because it was cold. His anger was indescribable as he asked how they dared jump over his head, hoping they would get eaten by the dragon. Meanwhile, the civilians were very cold, doing their best to warm up their children. When they saw the carriage, they were shocked and asked if that man was really charging at the dragon in just his panties. As they looked closer, they were even more shocked and confused to see that this half-naked person with a broomstick was really a hero. Zeke finally sat down, feeling embarrassed for being half-naked in front of so many people, but also very cold. As they rode along the now iced road, they noticed many frozen people, ice statues of those who couldn't escape and froze to death. Zeke looked up and saw the dragon, which appeared gigantic and seemed to grow larger as they approached. Demiurgos then told Alex and Zeke to get ready, explaining that the plan was the same as before. Zeke would stand out where everyone could see him, and Alex would grab the dragon and drop it in front of Zeke. Then Zeke would swing his stick and finish it. He reminded Alex not to mess around like last time and not to make him do the work. Alex reassured him, saying that he might have struggled a bit before due to not noticing their state, but he wouldn't make the same mistake again. Demiurgos then instructed him to make sure not to kill the dragon, but to capture it alive, to which Alex replied that he would only half kill it. Alex called out to Zeke and said that considering the dragon's size, things might get a bit chaotic. He advised Zeke to stand his ground and stay put, then entered the portal, leaving Zeke puzzled and asking what he meant by a bit chaotic and stand his ground. Demiurgos then told Zeke to stop the carriage, saying that he would take a nap there and that Zeke should handle it. As Zeke looked at the gigantic dragon towering over them, he asked Demiurgos if he could come with him because he felt like he was going to wet himself, inwardly admitting that he knew he'd be scared out of his mind seeing this dragon up close. Meanwhile, the parasite had complete control of the dragon. Suddenly, its attention shifted upwards as it spotted Alex emerging from the portal and floating in the air. As Alex began falling towards the dragon, the parasite extended itself, trying to grab him. However, with skill and swiftness, Alex dodged the attacks hurled at him, skillfully evading them while getting closer to his target. Resolute and ready, Alex acrobatically approached the dragon, and as he neared its head, he delivered a powerful punch that sent the dragon crashing down with force. Nearby, Zeke watched in shock and admiration, inwardly exclaiming, "That was awesome." Zeke couldn't see anything through the smoke and needed to find a spot where Alex could locate him easily. Suddenly, Demiurgos handed him a shield. Demiurgos asked if Zeke was going to take the shield he brought along, saying that a hero should at least have a shield, especially since it was a memento of his father. To help out, Demiurgos cast a spell on the shield. Zeke wondered what it was, and Demiurgos explained that it was a defensive barrier that should withstand a dragon's breath just in case he needed it. Overjoyed, Zeke thanked him, but when he opened his eyes, he saw that Demiurgos had fallen asleep. Zeke got out of the carriage and inwardly vowed to do well this time. He needed to hurry to a good spot so that Alex wouldn't have to wait. He needed somewhere easily visible, high up and in the center. Luckily, he found the spot and started running towards it as fast as he could, but suddenly he fell and began sliding. Meanwhile, the dragon roared in pain as Alex stepped on it and began ripping the parasite out of the dragon. However, the parasite started controlling the dragon once more, and the dragon launched a powerful ice breath at Alex. The dragon then got up and flew rapidly into the air. Smoke was everywhere, but suddenly a purple hand passed through it, grabbing the dragon's teeth. The hand came from Alex, who used the momentum to get up and land on top of the dragon's face. Looking completely different, Alex activated his menacing and deadly arms, and with great power, punched the dragon relentlessly until it crashed into a mountain. After a while, the dragon lay on the floor as Alex stood over it, saying that it was quite resilient and wondering if it was due to its size. As he got closer, he declared it was time to end it and delivered a devastating punch, causing a huge explosion on the mountain once more. Zeke, observing the battle nearby in amazement, thought, "Just being here is frightening, but Alex is handling the dragon all by himself." He wondered if Alex was really a D-rank hunter. Suddenly, he heard the voices of the survivors growing louder. They were saying that the hero had come to save them and speculating if he was winning at that moment. Some were trying to make sense of a pervert being a hero, while others were just happy that they were going to be saved. One man who had been praying exclaimed that God had answered their prayers. The crowd started cheering for the hero to do his best, while the pig sweated nervously, realizing he had made a mistake by insulting the hero. Zeke, thinking everyone was cheering for him, was moved by their cheers. However, instead of taking the credit, he admitted that Alex was the true hero. Zeke, feeling envious, also wanted to be a hero like Alex, saving people and giving them hope, a true hero. "Please save me," Zeke suddenly heard. He looked towards the voice and saw a woman almost completely frozen, asking him to save her. But just then, the dragon swept its tail, sending Alex flying. Alex managed to catch himself and sighed in frustration as he watched the dragon getting back on its feet and roaring as loudly as it could, shaking the entire castle. It started speaking in an incomprehensible language, and Alex realized that it could regenerate independently as long as the host didn't die. He looked at it with disgust and muttered, "It's pretty much a zombie dragon at this point." With that in mind, Alex knew that if he couldn't kill the dragon, there was only one option left. He had to cut off all its limbs. The dragon readied itself and with immense speed launched itself toward Alex, who prepared to use his 100-hand skill. Purple tendrils emerged from his back, combining to form a single giant hand that clenched into a fist. The hand landed a powerful punch on the dragon, sending it crashing to the ground and shattering the earth. But Alex wasn't finished. The giant hand split into 100, relentlessly attacking the dragon before merging back into one. Alex used the giant hand to grab the dragon by the neck and lift it off the ground. As the dragon prepared to use its cold breath again, Alex wrapped himself in the purple substance. The dragon's freezing breath landed directly on Alex, causing an explosion that sent debris flying and knocked Zeke back, leaving him cold but determined. Alex, having blocked the attack without damage, gave a sharp gaze, ready to end it. Still holding the dragon's neck with the giant hand, he increased his grip and used his 100 demonic hands to split the giant hand into 3. With 2 new hands, he grabbed each of the dragon's wings and with unbelievable strength ripped them off, making the dragon's scream echo through the kingdom. Alex then proceeded to slam the dragon to the ground with such force that it shattered the earth again. He wasn't done though, as he relentlessly pummeled the dragon with a rain of punches. The survivors watched the battle in awe, and so did Zeke. However, Zeke quickly refocused, knowing he needed to save the people. As he approached, he heard someone cry for help. He reassured her, promising to get her out immediately. However, the moment he touched the ice, he realized how cold it was. Upon closer inspection, he noticed a man frozen to death while trying to save the girl. Suddenly, the girl, on the brink of freezing to death, begged Zeke to at least save the baby. Taking his broomstick, Zeke began hitting the ice, trying to break it to free the baby. He told them to hold on a little longer because he would get them out soon. However, he inwardly cursed that he had to incapacitate the father to save the mother and child. Alex would be here soon, so he needed to quickly save them and get back in place. Suddenly, a bright light appeared from the dragon. The civilians seemed to recognize this light. One man shouted for the hero to get out of the way because that light was the very thing that destroyed their castle and turned the entire place into ice. The light grew brighter, and then a burst of pure coldness started spreading from the dragon, expanding through the surroundings. Zeke used the reinforced shield from Demiurgos, but he was still sent flying, and the shield shattered into pieces. The cold spread far, reaching the civilians who were miles away from the battle. It even affected the pig, breaking the mage's spell that kept it warm. The dragon, back on its feet, stood menacingly and started screaming. However, Alex stood there unfazed, saying that just like last time, it was becoming difficult for him to maintain the condition of his skin, which he had been preserving for the war 20 years from now. He found this to be annoying. Meanwhile, Zeke lay on the floor, snow covering him. He opened his eyes and inwardly wondered if he was still alive, thinking it might be because of the magic on the upgraded shield that Demiurgos had given him. The environment was freezing, but he suddenly remembered the baby. Luckily, he heard it crying nearby and was relieved it was still alive. However, its mother, who had been alive earlier, was now dead. Zeke noticed this. and was about to help the child when he suddenly felt something. He looked at himself and, to his shock, saw that he had lost one arm and both of his legs. They had shattered after freezing. Meanwhile, the dragon began to use the light attack again, and the civilians realized this too. One man shouted at the hero, telling him to run quickly. Zeke, on the other hand, wanted to save the baby. He wanted to be a hero. Though he might be a failed product and unable to save everyone like the other heroes, he would do his best to save this baby. Alex asked the dragon if it hadn't realized that its attack wouldn't work on him. That was why they always ended up being used by humans. The dragon then used another freezing attack, like earlier, which started expanding throughout the entire kingdom. Zeke tried his best to grab the baby and managed to survive. Suddenly, Demiurgos dropped his jacket on top of Zeke. As Zeke looked up, he saw Demiurgos, who said that he really couldn't understand. He wondered how humans could think of beating him when they were as weak as this. They were like candles he could blow out, yet they sacrificed themselves to save others. Did the demons really lose to such individuals for the past 66,500 years? He just couldn't comprehend it. Zeke then apologized to Demiurgos for not being in place on time. He said that he would do his best next time and then fell back into the snow, unconscious. Zeke opened his eyes, then closed them again before suddenly getting up and asking about the dragon and what had happened to it. He paused, looked around, and realized he was in Demiurgos's room. Scratching his head, he wondered why he was there and if he had passed out. Something seemed strange. How was he able to scratch his head if he had lost his hand? Shocked to see it back, he swiftly removed the blanket to check his legs and found them intact. He thought his body had been in pretty bad shape, so how was this possible? Suddenly, he heard Demiurgos saying, "This stuff isn't half bad." Zeke looked outside and saw Demiurgos and Alex standing in front of a pile of beautiful weapons. Demiurgos greeted him, and Zeke asked how his body had been fixed, inquiring about the dragon and the child. He had so many questions. Demiurgos smiled and told him that both the dragon and the child were taken care of, so he shouldn't worry about it. He then told Zeke that if he had rested enough, he should come down and help clean up because they needed to open their weapon shop. Zeke inwardly noted that just seeing Demiurgos's face made all his worries vanish. The next day, their carriage arrived at another kingdom where a dragon controlled by a parasite was destroying the place. Demiurgos told Zeke to attack, and Zeke instructed Alex to do his thing because he was ready. Alex, positioned in the air above the dragon, leaped down for a powerful punch. From then on, they continued fulfilling requests from the Golden Law. Whenever they took down a dragon, it would somehow be taken away. The next day, Demiurgos woke up to find many weapons and shields falling from the sky, landing right in front of their doorstep. After every completed request, there would be a pile of weapons delivered to their place the next morning. They continued their adventures, fighting all kinds of dragons. Demiurgos slept on the carriage while Alex took care of the dragon and Zeke finished it off. They went from one battle to another in different settings. In one instance, they used flashbangs to locate a bat dragon in a cave. After completing the mission, they received new weapons the next day. Their battles weren't confined to the land. At one point, they found themselves in the air, flying on top of dragons. After defeating them, they received their rewards the next day. Every evening, they settled at the Hero Noodles shop, which was always bustling with customers. Our heroes indulged in the delicious food, and Zeke in particular looked happy. While eating, something fell into his bowl. It was a message from the Golden Law about another dragon appearing at Shunaria Castle. That was their signal to go. They found themselves in the sky once more, fighting a cold-looking skeleton dragon that was currently flaming the kingdom. Demiurgos slept while Zeke was ready and determined. Demiurgos then opened his eyes and told Zeke to attack. Zeke jumped off the carriage straight towards the dragon. From the sky to underwater dragons to jumping toward gigantic flame-breathing dragons, Zeke always managed to emerge victorious after using his skill called Demon King Splitter. That skill finished off the green dragon, the sky dragon, and the underwater dragon. Every time, the day after each battle, they received many weapons and shields. After finishing off a dragon, Zeke would be covered in its blood. The citizens would thank him, cheer for him, and call him the dragon hunter who saved their castle. He looked cool in their eyes. As always, Demiurgos complimented his well-done job. Zeke's party soon became the most famous team in the land. After many days of hard work, they finally opened their first branch of the Devil's Weapon Shop, and the store was open for business. Inside the shop, everything looked breathtaking. The weapons were beautiful, and the place was spotless. Zeke remarked that the shop was amazing. Demiurgos admitted that he didn't expect it to look so impressive inside, suggesting that Alex must have put in a lot of effort. Alex responded that there shouldn't be any weapon stores around, even in castle cities, that could compare. Upon hearing this, Demiurgos shocked them by stating that it didn't really matter, since they would be the ones taking care of the business, not him. They were taken aback as Demiurgos asked if they had ever seen owners work before. Alex pointed out that his words were quite problematic. Suddenly, Demiurgos grabbed them both by the neck and told them that he just wanted to be wealthy, not run stores. He added that if they had an issue with that, they could say they were eager to run the store themselves. He then asked if that was acceptable, to which they replied that they understood. After letting go of their necks, Demiurgos said that since the topic was resolved, they should work hard to make the store great, to which Zeke and Alex responded, "Yes, boss." Suddenly, Zeke called out to Demiurgos and asked if he could continue running his stall after finishing his work here, as he still needed to earn tuition for his younger siblings. Demiurgos told him he could do as he wished, to which Zeke thanked him. Demiurgos called Alex and told him to bring what he had requested. Later that day, Zeke looked in awe, his gaze fixed on a shield covered in eyes. He remarked that it looked amazing. Demiurgos picked up the shield and, noticing something written on it, asked Alex to read it. Alex read aloud, "Doom's Lagoon, crafted from scales obtained by hunting dragons and combining blue, dark stone and chaotic scales. It has been specially crafted by the underworld's top blacksmith Hermes, this season's limited-time shield." He explained that it could withstand 3 to 4 attacks from the Demon King. Even Demiurgos was impressed, and Zeke marveled at the shield's ability to withstand the Demon King's attacks. The underworld Alex mentioned referred to the demon world, but Zeke mistakenly thought it meant the dwarves. Demiurgos then told Zeke to hold the shield, confusing him. Suddenly, a bright light enveloped Zeke, and he found himself in an unknown pitch-black place. Panicking, he called out for Demiurgos. By the way, Demiurgos named himself Deus, saying it was his human name. Although I continued calling him Demiurgos because that was his real name, characters like Zeke called him Deus. From now on, I will refer to him as Deus, since it's shorter. Back to the story, Zeke suddenly heard a mysterious voice asking if he was the one who called. As he turned around, he faced a gigantic red reptilian eye. It introduced itself as Doom's Lagoon and said it would take Zeke as its master until the last flames of its life. Confused, Zeke was blinded by a bright red light, and when he opened his eyes, he found himself back at the shop with everyone else. Still confused, Zeke asked where Doom's Lagoon had gone. Instead of an answer, he was suddenly attacked by Deus. Fortunately, Zeke had the shield in front of him, which absorbed Deus's attack but sent Zeke flying out of the shop, destroying the wall in the process. "What kind of owner tears down a store as soon as it's built?" Alex asked angrily. Deus simply responded, "It was just a test, just a test." As Zeke emerged from the debris, he smiled and told Deus, "This shield is really amazing. It's so good that even an A rank..." He paused, then corrected himself. "No, even a G rank hero would want it." Deus was also impressed by the shield for blocking 1% of his Doom Spear attack. He then called Zeke, who responded, "Yes?" Deus told him, "The shield is yours now." He continued, "You should use overpowered gear since you are weak. We'll start adding more one by one, beginning with this shield." Hearing this, Zeke started crying and asked if he was really giving him such an amazing shield, even though he was just an F rank. He wondered if it was really okay. Deus looked at him and answered, "Yeah." Zeke cried even more, unable to believe that he was holding such an amazing shield in his lifetime. "This is the greatest shield in the world," he said. Deus looked at him and called him a dummy, asking why he was crying when he wasn't even hurt. Meanwhile, elsewhere, laughter could be heard, and pigs were seen drinking and eating. This was the kingdom of Verde Arcoma Castle, the castle that Demiurgos destroyed in the first chapter. The man sitting on the throne looked at his jewelry and said it was heavy. To think the kingdom was holding on to this much value, he wondered why the king didn't wear it, since you can't take it with you in death. He then looked at the princess and asked if he wasn't right, bursting into laughter along with the other pigs nearby. Suddenly, their attention shifted towards the entrance as a hooded person entered the room. He quickly moved up the stairs, looking around as if searching for something. He walked to every corner, looking up and down, while the other people present watched him in silence. Their glances grew deeper as they watched him pass right in front of them without a care in the world. Suddenly, the hooded man bowed as if looking for something on the floor. He said that from the castle gates to here, there isn't even a trace of a fight. The one sitting on the throne asked him who he was. The hooded man smiled and said it was nothing, telling him not to worry and to continue as he was. The man then leapt into the air, replicating someone's movements, and landed in front of the pig and the princess. He looked at the cracked floor and realized that it had happened with just one explosion. He got up and turned to see the mountains that were destroyed, assuming it was done with just one strike. As he stood there, he wondered if it was even possible for a person to do such a thing. Nervously and suspiciously, the pig called his horde of pigs to get the man out of there. They got up to do the deed, but the green boy told them not to move because it was dangerous. He said that although they were just some cockroaches that had taken over this place, their lives were still precious, right? The pigs didn't take his words seriously and dashed towards the man, ready to kill him. The green boy, unperturbed, told them that as fellow creations of God, they should not do this. With a gesture of his fingers, all the pigs that rushed at him started losing their limbs. Most of them lost a leg. After the massacre, he told everyone else to stop moving unless they wanted to end up like those pigs. The pig leader was shocked to see magic and asked what was going on and who this man was. The man explained that the people above were worried about the happenings here and that something bad had happened. So he was sent to investigate and hoped the pig would cooperate. The pig was confused about what he meant by above. The green boy pointed up and answered, "Representative of God, the Sanctus Maximus Populi." The pig was shocked and shouted, asking if Green Boy was talking about the holiest of all, the Sanctus Populi. Green Boy then said that he guessed there was no need to explain further since they knew. He then asked the pig to explain what happened in this place that day, who, what, and why. Tearing down Arkoma Castle in an instant, known to be one of the best, and disappearing without a trace, just doesn't make sense. The pig said he didn't know either. He explained that he only heard the traders in town refer to him as Whitehair. He continued, saying they saw an unknown white-haired person enter the castle gate that morning. Shortly after, they heard screams, and then the castle suddenly exploded. He didn't know any more than this, and only God knows since everyone in the castle died. Green Boy smirked, turned around, thanked him for his answers, and told him goodbye. However, the pig suddenly said that the person who did this to the kingdom was a savior. He said Green Boy wouldn't understand. The tyranny of Verde's king was beyond belief. He claimed that Arkoma Castle, supposedly the world's greatest, was built upon the blood and bones of the citizens. The white-haired person was a savior sent by God to take down that evil king and return the castle to its rightful owners. He continued, shouting that the person was a true messiah, far superior to individuals like Sanctus Maximus, who exploit God to live luxuriously. Green Boy turned around, looked at him with a serious expression, and said it was a good speech. He then said they would be the ones to decide if the person who destroyed the castle was really sent by God or was part of a new force aligned with evil. Suddenly, with a gesture of his hand, he decapitated the man, asking him how he dared to speak about the Sanctus Maximus in such a manner. Meanwhile, Deus and Alex stopped another dragon, also controlled by the parasite. Afterward, they walked away, and Deus said that at first he was happy because they had so much work. But if it was this much, wouldn't it be a pretty serious problem for the dragons? He continued, saying that if it's gotten to this point, shouldn't Golden Law herself take a stance and clean this up since she claims to be the god of dragons? Alex then suggested that the reason she couldn't take care of things herself might be because she's in this world through the body of a human. Deus was confused, so he asked what Alex meant. Alex explained that he wasn't entirely sure, but he believed it had something to do with the records kept in the Dimensional Library. Deus asked what he meant by the Dimensional Library, to which Alex explained that it serves as the most crucial piece of evidence officially recognized during the trial of gods. As the memories present statements that can easily be manipulated by hallucination magic, the Dimensional Library, which can't be changed once written, is the only official form of evidence accepted. Deus then said that the reason Golden Law doesn't want to take action is due to her fear of leaving behind a record in the dimensional library. So, in other words, her being here is a secret that shouldn't be known to the public, to which Alex answered, "Yes, that's most likely." Deus asked why, and Alex answered that he didn't know because how could a lowly person like himself fathom the complicated personal matters of the dragon god? Deus then brushed it off, and they headed toward their carriage where Zeke was asleep. Alex noted that Zeke must be pretty worn out. While he might not act like it, he did face a dragon that even a class or even G-class would have a hard time with head-on. It might have only been possible because it was Zeke, since he is used to holding on and withstanding any trial that comes his way. Deus found this interesting, but wondered why Zeke was carrying the shield wrapped up like that. Alex answered by saying that Zeke had said he should take care of the shield because it was important to him and that he wanted to pass it down to his younger siblings when he became a hero. Deus was a bit frustrated, so he told Alex to tell Zeke to use it without care and that he would just get one for his younger siblings. Since they were done here, Deus said they should get going. He told Alex to put Zeke on the carriage so he wouldn't wake up. Alex agreed, and they started moving through a breathtaking landscape. Suddenly, Deus remarked, "It's staying attached pretty well." Alex, confused, asked, "What do you mean?" "Zeke's arms and legs," Deus replied. He thought the underworld doctors would do a half-assed job, but they did quite well. To reattach his hands and legs, you need to know how to put them back on. Deus was sure the underworld doctors had plenty of practice with human bodies. Then Deus asked Alex if he didn't think Zeke would have been a remarkable hero if he were of D-class. He added that Zeke had a good sense of responsibility and would have done well. Alex suddenly laughed and told Deus not to jinx it with such foreboding talk. He joked that 20 years down the line, Deus and Zeke would be swinging their swords at each other. Deus asked, "Why would I do that?" Alex shouted, "Because you are destined to be the Demon King." Acting cute, Deus asked, "What are you saying? At a glance, anyone would peg me as the noble companion to a hero, not a Demon King." Deus then said, "If it turns out how you say, wouldn't it mean that Zeke would be the final hero?" Alex explained that it wasn't possible, as Zeke was not of Generation Zero. The Generation Zero hero is the final hero, born of the 5th generation according to this world's rules. He explained that humans typically have children in their 20s, and each generation follows the same pattern. The age at which the 5th generation's child turns 20 is exactly 100 years, the year the Demon King is supposed to descend. The generation that will truly go to war with them and start the next cycle is Generation Zero. Of Generation Zero, only one is born as the final hero, so a 4th generation like Zeke can't become the final hero unless it's Zeke's offspring. After hearing all of that, Deus giggled and said, "Every 100 years when the Demon King invades, the final hero is born, huh? That's the law of the world." He finds it to be a really bad joke. Suddenly, Alex becomes serious and asks, "Why did you forsake us and quit being the Demon King?" Deus asks, "Didn't I tell you why?" "Of course not," Alex replies. Deus is confused about why he didn't explain before. Alex then prompts him to explain it now. "It's nothing special," Deus says. "The reason I quit being the Demon King is..." His words are suddenly cut off as they look up at the sky, which is full of fire. A flying ship is burning, and it looks like the people aboard must be royalty. The reason it's burning is that it's being attacked by a dragon. Deus is taken aback to see another dragon. He wonders if dragons are that easy to find in this world. Suddenly, Alex appears shocked as he notices the emblem on the ship and recognizes it as belonging to the Holy For Tree family, a family of purebloods. He explains that the family has produced nearly 100 final heroes, the purest of the pure-blooded families. He can't understand why the two powers that were always side by side in the 100 Years' Wars are now fighting. He just can't comprehend what's happening these days. As the ship crashes on a nearby mountain, Deus calls Alex and while smiling tells him, "Let's go watch the show." The flying ship was now completely destroyed. However, it seemed that the item they were transporting remained intact, and they carefully moved it away to prevent it from catching fire. The soldiers lifting it cursed, wondering why it was so heavy, but with collective effort, they persisted. Suddenly, the rope snapped, and they all stopped. A portly man berated them, calling them dumbasses and reminding them to be careful so the item wouldn't break. As he watched the knights move the cargo, he inwardly wondered if they knew how much it cost. He warned them that if there was even a scratch on it, their heads would roll. His attention was suddenly diverted by a loud roar. Upon closer inspection, he realized they were in serious trouble. The dragon was heading straight for them. The portly man ordered everyone to stop the dragon, which was after their item. He instructed the archers and magicians to prepare to fire. Following his orders, the archers and mages readied their attacks. As the dragon approached, the portly man, now wearing a scared expression, told them to fire. The archers released their arrows, and the ice and light mages launched their attacks. Despite their combined effort, the dragon managed to dodge the attacks and prepared to unleash its fiery breath. The dragon's attack hit the ground, sending knights flying and setting the entire area ablaze. The portly man, who was within the attack range, fell face first. As he got up, he cursed at the dragon and asked if the item was safe. The knights confirmed that it was. He sighed in relief, but then looked up to see the dragon coming again. Shouting, he reminded them that the dragon was just a baby and urged them to hit it this time. He ordered everyone to aim, and as the dragon got close, he declared that this would be their last attack. As he was about to give the order to fire, someone appeared behind him and told him to move aside. Fatty was confused, but the man suddenly used Fatty's head to launch himself into the air. As Fatty looked up, he recognized this orange-haired man. While airborne, the man used his skill, trimming camellia branches, and with a single slash, cut the dragon in half. As the dragon fell to the ground, dead, the man named Varius landed and said that the dragon was asking for death because it would have kept its life if it had left after the first attack. Handing his weapon to Fatty to clean, Varius listened as Fatty, overjoyed, told him they could have handled it themselves. Fatty then added that even if it was just a baby, splitting a dragon in half was incredible. Varius replied, "If it's a dragon, then it's a dragon. Why add even if it was just a baby?" He then instructed Fatty to hurry up and wipe his sword, clean the area, and call for support. Menacingly, he warned that if the item got exposed for any reason, his father would have their heads. Nervously, Fatty assured him he could rest easy. Suddenly, they heard an unfamiliar voice say, "Is this the item you're talking about?" The voice came from Deus, who was with Alex, standing on top of the item. The knights looked at them in shock and confusion. Fatty asked who they were, but they didn't answer. Instead, Deus used his leg to reveal that the item was another dragon. Upon closer inspection, Deus noticed that its eyes were normal, indicating it wasn't infected by the parasite. Deus now understood why the baby dragon was going after it, to save its mother. Alex believed the same. Menacingly, Deus asked if they weren't in a ceasefire with the dragons, and pointed out that, since these people were part of the hero family, this smacked of conspiracy. Varius looked at them and said it seemed there were a few more corpses to take care of. Alex then asked Deus if he was provoking them, to which Deus responded by asking if Alex wasn't curious about the skills of a pureblood. Varius looked down on them and told Fatty to take care of them, which Fatty accepted. He then said that he didn't know who they were, but they should blame their eyes for seeing what shouldn't be seen. Varius then ordered the knights to take them down. However, Deus was disappointed that the strongest one there was leaving. He had been expectant, as he was a pureblood, and now found the situation boring. So he told Alex to kill them all. Alex reasoned with him, asking if they weren't supposed to be playing the role of the hero's companion. Deus asked what that had to do with anything. Alex explained that it wouldn't be good to fight against a pureblood family as the hero's companion. Deus then remarked that now that Alex mentioned it, that guy was a holy just like Zeke. Alex agreed and said that hero families all have names that start with holy, followed by a three-part name to show they are blessed. Deus asked if the first here was a tree or something, wondering why they all used the names of trees. Alex explained that they used the names of the trees that grew the most in their territory. While they were chatting, Fatty noticed that these bastards were looking down on them. He asked his knights what they were doing and told them to hurry up and kill them. The mages launched their ice and lightning magic, and the archers also attacked. However, their combined assault had no effect, as Deus and Alex appeared behind them, unperturbed. Since they were attacked, Deus said they should quickly take care of them because they might wake Zeke up. The people and Fatty were shocked, wondering when Deus and Alex had gotten there. Meanwhile, Alex and Deus kept talking. Alex said it wasn't hard to kill a few of them, but asked if it would really be okay. Deus asked why Alex kept questioning him. Alex replied that Deus had mentioned being a companion of a hero. Annoyed, Deus told him to go beg them for forgiveness to let them off. However, Alex pointed at the dragon and said it might be too late to beg for forgiveness since they had already seen their secret. Deus then asked what Alex wanted him to do, to which Alex suggested they just run away. Deus asked if Alex was afraid of them, but Alex denied it. Meanwhile, Fatty was fuming with anger because these bastards were messing around, so he commanded his subordinates to kill them immediately. After hearing the orders, the knights responded with a resolute yes and positioned themselves to attack. Alex sighed, saying that he hadn't wanted to mess with the hero family, but now it seemed unavoidable. Meanwhile, in a place not too far from where Deus and Alex were, Zeke was still sleeping peacefully in the carriage, snoozing like a little baby. The knights rushed toward Alex and Deus, and then a mage leaped into the air, preparing to use his fire hand skill. However, Alex opened his mouth wide, emitting a bright light that, upon contact, sent the mage back to the gulag. Another knight was about to attack Deus, but Alex decapitated him with a single slash the moment he saw him. The other knights stood in terror as Alex dashed through them in the blink of an eye, leaving heads and limbs flying and armor and weapons shattered into pieces. Alex had swiftly and gracefully slain them all. After his massacre, Alex stood menacingly, but a foolish archer thought he had a chance. The archer attacked Alex with his magnum shot, a fire arrow aimed directly at him. However, with a flick of his finger, Alex destroyed the arrow and killed the archer simultaneously. Another mage attacked him with a lightning bolt, but Alex opened a portal to redirect the lightning back to the mage, killing him. The mage fell to the ground, dead from his own attack. Alex stood there menacingly while Deus yawned. Alex then remarked that killing humans still gave him the best rush. Fatty was flabbergasted and quite nervous, wondering who these people were. Suddenly, Varius used his head to launch himself into the air while also drawing his sword. He prepared to use the same attack he used against the dragon, shaking camellia branches, against Alex and Deus. The attack was so powerful that it destroyed the spot where they had been standing. As Varius landed gracefully and waited for the smoke to clear, he heard a voice telling him to take it easy because he was making a mess. He turned around to see Alex and Deus standing atop a hill behind him, unharmed. Curious, he asked them who they were, as killing his family's soldiers and avoiding his sword was quite impressive. He asked if they were the blood of other families. Deus corrected him, saying that not everyone strong was a blood, and told him to use his head a bit more. Varius then asked if they could be dragons, but brushed it off, saying that it didn't matter because he just had to take care of the witnesses. However, Deus grinned and said, "You? Take care of me?" He continued, "That's not even close to possible." Then he called him a dumbass. But suddenly, something strange occurred. The moment he saw the smile on Deus's face, something inside him awoke, something deep inside his body. A light emanated from him, and he suddenly started screaming, shocking Alex. He didn't stop there. His scream grew louder and louder, even shocking and confusing his companions. He could give Goku a run for his money with that scream of his. He even transformed into a Super Saiyan. Deus was entertained by the show Varius was giving. Then, in a flash, Varius dashed and appeared right in front of Deus. Varius looked like a beast, and even Deus noticed that he seemed to have changed a bit. Varius was determined, his anger indescribable as he launched multiple slashes towards them. However, Deus managed to dodge them. As Deus landed on another hill, he called Varius a dumbass and told him he was still too slow. He said he should try moving a bit faster because he felt like falling asleep from boredom. Suddenly, Alex called Deus and with a smile told him they should get going. Deus was confused and said it was just getting interesting, so why did Alex keep trying to ruin the fun? He asked if it could be that Alex was afraid of the hero. Alex answered, yes. He was a bit scared of him as he showed his decapitated hander with crosses made of light. Deus asked him what it was and found it disgusting. Suddenly, Varius dashed towards them once more and stood face to face with Deus. Their faces were so close it looked like they were about to kiss. Deus then told Alex he couldn't trick his eyes. He knew Alex was easily capable of killing this hero, so he wondered why he was hesitating. At the same time, Varius once more used his breaking camellia tree skill, and the entire area was destroyed again. However, this time, Deus didn't dodge. He wore a smile and told Varius that he already told him it was impossible. He said he wouldn't be able to cut even a strand of his hair. Varius then summoned a light sword and swung it at Deus, which Deus dodged again and again. While attacking Deus, Varius asked him if he was a blood. While dodging the numerous attacks hurled towards him, Deus responded, "Do I look like a blood to you?" Their battle, marked by Varius's immense destructive power, appeared even more formidable from a different perspective. However, Deus merely yawned, commenting that this was so boring. He had high hopes since Varius hailed from the bloodline of the last hero, but it seemed Varius was nothing more than a slightly faster fly. Deus said he was too lazy to even kill him, and continued by saying that those who died at the hands of someone like Varius were simply worthless. Deus, ready to end this, stopped dodging and prepared to use his skill, Doom's Guillotine. But suddenly, Alex interfered, taking the brunt of Deus's attack to protect Varius. Varius then used his skill, threading camellia vines, and pierced Alex in the stomach. Deus, perplexed, asked Alex what he was doing. Alex looked at Varius and spat a purple substance at him. Varius's eyes, once filled with anger, returned to normal, and he fell to the ground unconscious in front of Alex and Deus. Deus noticed that Alex had merely knocked Varius unconscious instead of killing him, so he asked why. Deus pointed out that Alex had been avoiding Varius earlier, claiming to be afraid of him, yet now he was here blocking Deus to save Varius. Deus demanded an explanation. Alex apologized, stating that his concern did not lie with this young hero. He then added, "It's the order of the world." Confused, Deus asked if causing chaos, destruction, and killing wasn't Alex's specialty, but Alex explained that all of that was within the boundaries of order. He said that if word spread that the master of the underworld was on the surface alone, the whole world would be in an uproar. People would come at him like endless cockroaches. Even a beautiful girl in a cradle would come crawling with a knife. That's just human nature. However, Deus retorted that they should let those cockroaches come because he would burn them all up in one go. He had been pondering this for a long time, but couldn't wrap his head around it. How were these weaklings supposed to beat him? It just didn't make any sense to him. As Deus looks at Alex for answers, Alex just smiles and remains silent. This makes Deus think there's more that he doesn't know. Alex's silence confirms to Deus that he will discover the truth 20 years from now. When Deus asks Alex if he won't reveal anything even if he asks or starts talking about the order of the world, Alex simply replies that he is correct and suggests they head back. Suddenly, Deus giggles, transforms, and asks what would happen if he killed the hero right then and there. He taunts Alex, saying that this order Alex is so afraid of makes him want to break it. Deus wonders if a god would come down to punish him. To his surprise, Alex responds that he doesn't know, but he's sure that Deus's dream of becoming a party member of a hero and living among the 2% richest people in the world would be for nothing. Deus would have to face all the heroes of the world and destroy it for that to happen. Instead of quitting as the Demon King, he'd become the most notorious Demon King in history. Alex then suggests that attacking the humans before the final hero arises might be a good idea. He approaches Varius, saying he'll handle him himself, and tells Deus to go rest. However, Deus stops him and asks if he is perhaps a T for not understanding his jokes. He says the whole Demon King and war business has nothing to do with him now, so they shouldn't get their hands dirty for nothing. Alex then asks if they're just going to leave the hero like this. He suggests he'll push his leg through the hero's body to finish it. Deus, however, tells him to hurry up and open a portal. Alex does so, and Deus asks him if he isn't coming. Alex replies that he'll follow right behind after cleaning up their traces here, so he tells Deus to go on ahead and get some rest. Deus asked Alex if his arm was okay, but Alex just dragged him into the portal and assured him that such injuries would be fixed instantly once he made a trip to the underworld. He told Deus not to worry and to head back first. Deus agreed and entered the portal, telling Alex to catch up quickly after he finished. After the portal closed, Alex stood there in silence for a moment. Then he bent down in front of Varius and with a demonic expression and tone called Varius a little punk for daring to brand him, one of the 7 dukes of the demon world, with that dirty light. Alex's anger was so intense that sharp blood seemed to come from his eyes as he demonically declared that, with his own hands, he would end the lives of Varius's offspring in 20 years, thus ending the family lineage of the Holy Stuartia. Meanwhile, Zeke was still asleep with his dear shield beside him. Deus appeared next to him with a smile and remarked that Zeke must have been really tired because he was knocked out cold. Deus then pondered what would happen 20 years later, expressing his annoyance at all the rules and order. He wondered why the dragons were causing so much trouble and called the dragon god dumb, questioning if she even knew what was happening to her children. Suddenly, the dragon god appeared, floating in the air, and asked if Deus was referring to her as dumb. Deus turned around and bluntly answered that he was talking about her. He asked her if she had been watching the whole time. She replied that she had planted a feather on him. Deus then pointed at the baby dragon corpse the hero had killed earlier and said that if she planned on making a formal complaint against the humans, he could be a witness. Finding the idea of a demon being a witness amusing, she asked if he expected to go to court and say, "Hello, I'm the Demon King. I stopped the hero who broke the peace treaty from hunting a dragon." He responded by saying that the assumption that all demons are bad was biased. She retorted, asking if he wanted her to believe that, even though demons surfaced every 100 years to wreak havoc. He conceded, wondering aloud why demons kept surfacing and whether they could just live in the underworld. She mocked his question, doubting that someone like him was the Demon King. Deus then retorted, calling her a lizard brain just standing idly by as her children died at human hands. He revealed that humans called her children items, and that it likely wasn't the first time they had hunted dragons. He asked her why she thought they hunted dragons, then answered his own question by saying it was to craft dragon weapons. He explained that dragon body parts were treasures and that humans slaughtered young dragons trying to protect their mothers. He asked if that wasn't a blatant disregard for the peace treaty. She then asked him if he could do something for her. He inquired what she wanted him to do. She answered, "Revenge." She asked if he could take revenge on the humans who were killing her children. He paused for a moment and asked why he should take revenge on her behalf. Couldn't she do it herself? She explained that she couldn't because once a dragon left the territory of the dragons, Kaleidoscope, and entered the human world, humans couldn't be faulted for killing them. It was like how no one blamed the 100-year war demons. Those were the rules of the world. So no matter how many of her children died in the human world, she couldn't do anything about it. Deus was fed up with the mention of the rules. He asked who made them in the first place. She replied, "The enforcers." The moment she said it, an enormous pressure fell upon Deus. He collapsed to his knees, blood streaming from his nose. Confused, he wondered what was causing this strange pressure. She answered, "That's the rule," referring to the bindings of the world they both belonged to. Deus, frustrated, remarked that first she spoke of nonsensical rules and laws, and now enforcers. Suddenly, he rose to his feet, yelling, "Enough of this bullshit, you bastards!" He declared that if they were so high and mighty, they should rule the world themselves. He asked if they expected everyone to follow random rules and orders without question. After hearing this, she laughed and said she was impressed he withstood the pressure with a human body. She acknowledged that while he might look stupid, a demon king is still a demon king in the end. He then warned her to watch her tongue when addressing him, calling her a lizard brain. Curious, she asked why he quit being a demon king. She was excited because he was the first to do so in the last 666 centuries. She speculated that the enforcers must be having a headache since he broke the rules. Deus asked why she seemed so happy about it, suggesting that she might want to break the rules herself. Nervous, she denied it, claiming she was just curious since it was the first time it had happened. Regardless, she warned him to be cautious of the enforcers. Though he might be safe for now, in 20 years, when that day arrives, she was sure they would take action. Deus asked if she thought he would be scared by small tricks like what they just did. He said they could try whatever they wanted and he would face them anytime. She then shifted the conversation, asking him again why he quit being a demon king. She wanted to know the reason he was breaking a cycle that had persisted for 665 centuries. He answered, saying that the reason wasn't anything impressive. He then said, "The reason I quit being a demon king is..." Suddenly, his words were cut off as Alex appeared and told Deus they should go. Alex mentioned that he had tidied things up. However, he noticed the dragon god and was confused. The dragon god was angry about Alex's timing. Deus told Alex to hurry up and open the portal so they could go home, to which Alex agreed. However, Golden Law shouted, insisting that Deus finish giving her his answer before leaving. Breaking the fourth wall, Deus said they would be bombarded with negative comments for dragging out the chapter, so he would tell her another time. She asked him what he was talking about and he told her to hurry up and go back. Man, the author is really edging us about why he quit being the Demon King. She suddenly called him back, saying that even if he didn't take revenge for her, he should expose those bastards and reveal how many heroes were involved. She lamented that many of her children were being killed, and if it continued, it would breach the treaty. She speculated that recent actions of the extremists might be related. After hearing this, Deus asked for triple the usual fee. She was confused, so he explained that since the case was difficult, he wanted 3 times the usual amount. Shocked, she called him a demon-like bastard, but reluctantly agreed. Sarcastically, she asked if he was happy, to which he replied, "Ah, thank you, dear customer." Before they left, she pointed her finger at him, and a light shone on him. He asked what it was, and she explained it was magic to hide his demonic aura. Not only the hero beside him, but also the Bloods reacted to his aura, but now it wouldn't be an issue. He understood and told her to get lost, then instructed Alex to drive and leave the place. Golden Law found his tone annoying as they left her alone, floating in the air under the full moon. She wondered if she was really doing the right thing. The next day, our 3 heroes arrived at a beautiful place. Deus asked how the kingdom was so rich, to which Alex answered that they came from a hero lineage dating back 60,000 years, the Holy Stuartia family. Deus then says that Zeke is also a hero, so why is he trash? Zeke hears him and, feeling ashamed, says, "I'm sorry for being like that." Alex then suggests they should discuss these matters when Zeke isn't present. Deus asks why, to which Alex responds that Zeke might start rebelling. When Deus presses further, Alex explains that as he has mentioned before, once a hero's family becomes famous, many nobles and castle lords will line up to be their sponsors. Sponsoring a hero is seen as fighting for the peace of the world. On top of that, activities like dragon poaching from the previous night are a good source of money. To be honest, dragon poaching is something everyone knows about but keeps quiet, even among dragons. Deus asks why, and Alex says that since humans are at war with the demon world, dragons have no choice but to help humans. If humans were to fall, dragons would be next. Deus agrees, noting that dragon body parts are popular even in the demon world, making it a profitable business for those capable. Deus asks Alex if he means that the Holy Stuartia family and others are after dragons. He then turns to Zeke and asks if his family doesn't poach dragons. Zeke laughs and says that you need to be at least a G-class to get near a dragon's nest. Deus agreed and replies that if even a trash family like Zeke's can do it, any stray cats and dogs on the street would be able to as well. Damn bro, Deus needs to chill. He's dissing our boy Zeke so badly right now. Alex then asks Deus why they are there, to which Deus answers, "For business." He explains that it is an undercover operation he calls Operation Dragon Poaching Investigation. After saying this, he suggests they should go, but Alex tells him to wait. He explains that while Zeke might be fine, they should disguise themselves a little since their identities were exposed in yesterday's incident. Hearing this, Deus has a marvelous idea, one that is phenomenal, outstanding, and brilliant. And I know that you are eager to know what this marvelous idea is, right? Well, they simply exchange clothes. Comment Deus the genius if you made it this far in the video. Alex, with his hair tied up like a little girl, inwardly asks himself if he should just quit. Deus was ready to skedaddle away with his new look, but Zeke stopped him and gave him a heads up. He suggested that Deus start acting the part now, not that he wasn't worthy of being a hero or anything. Deus found it fair enough. It wasn't difficult, so he stood in front of the castle and began shouting, "The hero of heroes, the candidate for the last hero, soon to be number 1, Zeke Pan-Holy Beesh is here." He then commanded them to open the door. After that, he looked back with a smile and said he was going to break the door down, but resolved it with words, so he asked if he did well. Moments later, they found themselves in a beautiful room, and Zeke inwardly marveled at how amazing it was. Suddenly, something caught his attention, a portrait. He wondered if it depicted the person from the textbooks, the last hero of the 52nd generation who fought to the death with the Demon King for 13 days and emerged victorious, Hassan Pan-Holistuatia VII. He thought to himself that Hassan was on a whole other level compared to him, and he felt embarrassed to call himself a hero like that. Deus noticed his nervousness and asked if he was feeling nervous. He then said, "Aren't all heroes equal?" and told him there was no need to be scared. Suddenly, they heard a voice agreeing with Deus, saying that all heroes are equal. They turned and saw the person who continued, adding that not all heroes are equal in skill. He explained that the holy blood of the first is bestowed by God only upon those who can bear its weight, and God knows who is fit to become the true hero. He then welcomed the hero of the Holy Beach family and his companions, introducing himself as Solus Pan-Holistuatia, the current third-generation hero of this century. Though retired, he was now in charge of the house. Deus thought Varius would come, but he assumed this man must be his father. The last hero being born from the 5th generation of the century is the law of the world. The title they are given is Zero. One of the children of the 4th generation heroes like Zeke and Varius will be the last hero. Zeke then stood up, bowed, and introduced himself as Zeke Holibish, expressing his honor to meet Solus. He also introduced the two next to him as his companions, Sir Deus and Sir Alex. To his shock, Solus revealed that he knew about him and his party. He explained that he was a bit late because he had to confirm with the hero management department. It seemed that Zeke had somehow managed to gather companions, though he was told that Zeke had dropped out of the race. Zeke responded by saying he wasn't surprised Solus thought that, but he hadn't given up. After hearing this, Solus looked at Deus and commented that a rich merchant had paid his way into becoming a companion of the hero by finding someone from a fallen hero family. "It's a vulgar but common story," he remarked. Then he asked what brought them to the Holistuatia family. Deus bluntly replied that it was nothing much, just a strange rumor they wanted to confirm. Suddenly, with a cold gaze, Solus told him that his tone didn't suit his position, to which Deus responded by saying he thought they would speak as fellow heroes, but he guessed he was wrong. He asked if Solus wanted to be treated as a noble now that he had retired. Nervously and sweating bullets, Zeke told Deus to stop and mind his manners. Unexpectedly, Solus started laughing and said that Deus was quite direct. He said he had been like Deus once, unaware of his place and acting as he pleased, as if he could single-handedly defeat the Demon King. He warned Deus to be careful because there's a sky above the ceiling, meaning there is always someone higher. Zeke nervously laughed and agreed, saying there was hardly anyone who hadn't heard of the D-rank hero Sir Solus. Solus then sat down and asked Deus what rumors he was speaking of. Deus explained that they had heard the Holistuatia family possessed some high-quality materials and there was something they were looking for. Solus assumed they must have some money, but doubted it would be enough for what they sought. He explained that the Holistuatia family only dealt in top-quality materials, such as the obsidian teeth of the red salamander, the blank essence of the Lich King from the Huron War, or the heart of the white-headed giant from the Horgan Mountain range. To his shock, Deus said they didn't need those small things. Deus stated they were looking for something higher class than giant materials. Solus responded that the only thing higher class than giants were dragons. Deus agreed and said that Zeke required items to bolster his image. He explains that they are looking to create armor made of dragon parts. Then he drops something on the table, and Solus recognizes it as the demon world's blood-colored lava stone. Solus inwardly wonders how he got his hands on such a rare item. What Solus doesn't know is that this item is a common rock found in the demon world's volcanic mountains. Solus then asks if he isn't aware that dragons and humans are under a peace treaty. Trading dragon parts is against the law. He emphasizes that the Holistuatia family doesn't participate in such illegal activities. Instead, he suggests they use other equally rare materials for Zeke's armor. Deus ignores him and tells Alex that they should leave, as it seems this place doesn't have what they need. He continues saying, "Just who were those people that loaded the dragon into the airship? I was sure it was the Holistuatia's crest on that airship." Solus menacingly responds, implying that Deus is speaking as if he saw something. Deus explains that they are rushing to get into the race since they started late, hearing things they didn't expect as they scramble to catch up, and inevitably seeing what they didn't need to see. Solus's menacing expression doesn't change as he says, "Is that so? That's unfortunate." He warns them to be more careful. Deus retorts that it takes time to build a tower, but only a moment to tear it down. He says they are still new to this, so they don't yet understand how things work with the heroes. He might spread rumors that the established families are monopolizing all the good stuff if he is in a bad mood. He suggests they give him something to appease him so he doesn't talk. Deus and Solus's gazes meet, and it looks like they are about to fight, but Zeke intervenes, telling them to chill. Solus laughs and says he will ask the next question. He asks if they have heard about a masked hero suddenly appearing and defeating numerous dragons. Hearing this, Zeke is visibly anxious, but Deus responds, "What about it?" Solus smirks and says that he doesn't know if it's a coincidence, but the Doom's Lagoon that Zeke is carrying has materials from the Blue Dragon and the Darkstone Dragon that the masked hero defeated. Deus then says he is surprised that Solus knows about the Doom's Lagoon. Solus replies that it's no surprise since he knows everything about items above the rare rank. By the sheen, he can tell it's a special S-rank Doom's Lagoon made with scales from blue and darkstone dragons. He hasn't seen such a Doom's Lagoon on the world's treasure list, meaning it was likely crafted in secret recently. Noticing that Deus seems to be the leader of their group, Solus decides to speak to him since he is acting like the leader rather than the hero. Solus says he is unsure of Deus's relationship with the masked hero, but wants him to relay a message if he happens to meet him. Solus explains that because the masked hero has been eliminating dragons, several powerful people are suffering financially. As a result, some high-ranking members of the affected clans are planning to gather to eliminate the masked hero and anyone associated with him. Solus then adds that a treasure like the Doom's Lagoon shouldn't be in the hands of a rural F-rank family. The number of legendary items needs to be properly managed, whether they be equipment or people, since royalty equals value. He denies the rumor that his prestigious family deals in illegal materials such as dragon parts. He then tells them that if they need the low-ranked materials he mentioned earlier, they can come to him at any time. Calling them newbies, he says he is a bit busy, says goodbye, and leaves the room, leaving them there. Back outside, Deus asked if all heroes were like Solus. Despite knowing it sounded strange coming from him, Deus still thought Solus was a jerk, a sentiment Zeke agreed with. Summarizing their situation, Alex explained that the blood families were working together to hunt dragons, monopolize the materials, and eliminate other material traders. He further clarified that the most important thing to a hero is their equipment. By controlling the supply of materials, they could control the heroes. This explained why most families experienced ups and downs, while a few remained strong throughout the ages. It was likely that all the famous families were part of this clan, a fair assumption according to Alex. Zeke then expressed his disappointment, saying he had expected Solus to be righteous and fair, and he couldn't accept that all the heroes he had looked up to were like Solus. Deus remarked that humans were truly rotten, and considering how things were, they seemed kinder than the so-called heroes. After this comment, Alex looked at him with a silent smile. Deus added that it was no surprise humans had won 665 times. Alex didn't respond, maintaining his silent but slightly nervous smile. Brushing it off, Deus congratulated Zeke for becoming a target. Confused, Zeke asked what he meant, to which Deus reminded him of what Solus had said earlier. The clan's higher-ups were after the masked hero, who was Zeke. These words brought Zeke to tears as he realized the heroes pursuing him were likely from a D-rank family. Desperate, he asked Deus what to do. Deus reassured him that it wouldn't matter if those little punks came at them in droves, but suggested they focus on their business to avoid unnecessary trouble. With their store filled with weapons to sell, Deus decided the masked hero should lay low for a while. He then proposed they do one last thing that night. Alex and Zeke, confused, asked what they would be doing. Deus giggled menacingly and answered that they needed to wrap up some things, specifically taking out the renowned family of Holistuatia and the dragon poaching cartel to rip off Golden Law for 3 times the rate of her payment. It's now night and the full moon is out in the sky. Zeke and Deus walk through the beautiful streets. Deus mentions that the Holistuatia family even has a lake in their castle, expressing his jealousy. Zeke then stops him and says he has a small question he'd like to ask. Deus asks what his question is. Zeke then says that what they are doing right now is sneaking into the Holy Stuartia family to find the dragon's corpse they have hidden somewhere in the castle to prove they're poaching dragons. He adds that it feels almost like thievery. Deus responds, confirming that Zeke is correct and calling him smart. Zeke isn't done and raises his hand like he's in a classroom to ask another question. He points out that considering they're sneaking in, aren't they just blatantly walking down the castle center? Suddenly, armored footsteps are heard, coming from 2 guards. Deus appears calm, but Zeke panics, telling Deus that it must be the patrol and that they need to hide quickly, thinking they are already caught. The 2 guards look tough, and their gazes seem to meet with our heroes, making Zeke even more nervous as he inwardly wonders what they should do. But the guards just walk past them as if they weren't even there. Zeke sighs in relief, assuming that Deus cast an invisibility spell on them, to which Deus confirms. Zeke is very impressed, and then Deus says he will go ahead. Zeke tells him to wait for him. Moments later, as they walk past many magnificent golden buildings, Zeke admires everything. After he catches up with Deus, he tells him that the Holy Stuartia family really doesn't seem to have a dragon and asks what they should do. He also wonders where Alex went, as he hasn't seen him since earlier. Deus tells him that Alex went ahead to get started, and Zeke understands. Deus then asks Zeke if his family ever lived well like this. Zeke scratches his head and says that there's a story from the past that's almost like a legend. As far as his grandfather can remember, they've always been poor. Deus says that perhaps Zeke's family lacked hard work. Blushing, Zeke responds that it could be that, adding that both his grandfather and father were low-ranked heroes. Deus, curious about the rank, asks if they take a test to estimate one's rank. Zeke mentioned there is a test, but first you have to graduate from the Hero University. Deus was taken aback, realizing they even have a university. Zeke confirmed it, adding that he plans to send his younger siblings there. He acknowledged it would be expensive, but he was determined to work hard to make it happen. Deus then stopped walking and asked if Zeke realized that what they were planning was far from heroic. Sneaking into a hero family to steal, was he okay with that, considering he was a hero? Zeke stayed silent for a moment, then admitted he knew it was a crime. However, after meeting Deus, he realized something. With a smile, he said that Deus was the real righteous one. While they might look like a pack of thieves now, they were actually stopping criminals trying to monopolize materials. He had been taken aback by Deus's actions before, but now he understood that Deus knew the truth about Solus. He asked if that was why Deus acted that way, to make Solus expose himself. Deus blushed slightly and said he hadn't really thought that far, but he allowed Zeke to think of it as he wished. Zeke continued, reminding Deus of what he had said when they first met. This is a chance. Although he couldn't say it then, he had almost given up on being a hero. It's impossible for someone like me, he thought to himself all of his life. Although it wasn't the best situation, meeting a D-rank hero and using an amazing shield was all thanks to Deus. He admitted he hadn't done anything to deserve this. Stealing? It didn't matter as long as his younger siblings could live well. He wanted to ensure these kids weren't called failures like he was. He would make sure he didn't pass down his poverty to them and would raise them into amazing heroes and a saintess. Although they wouldn't be on the front lines 20 years later for the 666th war, he would ensure they could at least participate in the rear, so he could have a large portrait of his siblings fighting in the war like the one they saw at Solus's place. He hoped to pass down a legacy to future generations of his family. The Holy Beach family participated in the 666 war against the Demon King. That's how the Holy Beach family defeated the Demon King and lived happily ever after, forever. That is how he wanted his name to be remembered. It was his dream. Deus then stopped him and asked, "What about you? Don't you have a part in this? Don't you have something you want to do or be like, I want to live my life like this or like that? Don't you have anything like that? Sacrificing your entire life just for your family? Are you satisfied with just that?" After hearing those words from Deus, Zeke started shaking but composed himself and said, "That's all I want. I will end the poverty of the Holy Beach family in my generation. To make that happen, I can even make a deal with the devil." Deus smirked and said, "It looks like you picked the right devil to make a deal with. Let's see this through to the end, to the depths of hell." Suddenly, Deus called Alex, and he immediately appeared out of a portal. He paused on top of a street lamp like Spider-Man and said, "Yes, Master," while Zeke was happy to see Alex back. Alex then said that he found it. Zeke was confused for a moment, but then Alex said they should head over to those bastards' secret room. When Alex appeared, he approached Deus and asked if they should set off. Deus, however, inquired whether Alex had found it. Alex pulled a brown notebook from his pocket and affirmed he had. To Zeke's astonishment, Alex revealed that he had also found their clan member list. He began listing the family names associated with the clan: the Hoyplonia family, the Holy Stusok family, the Holy Evergreen family, the Holy Ash family, the Holy Chestnut family, the Holy Zelkova family, the Holy Elder family, the Holy Silverbird family, the Holy Corkoak family, the Holy Cottonwood family, the Holy Willow family, etc. With a confident grin, he announced that there were 76 families listed, all of whom boasted deep histories and high prestige. Upon hearing this, Zeke's face fell. He was saddened, recognizing many of these families from the textbooks on heroes. He wondered how they could have been involved in such deeds. Cutting to the chase, Deus asked where the dragons were hidden. Overlooking the beautiful landscape with its mesmerizing lake, Alex confirmed Deus's suspicion. They were indeed hidden underwater. This revelation deeply shocked Zeke. Deus suggested they get started. Alex agreed, and with a display of magic unlike anything they had seen before, he pointed his finger, emitting a blue light that formed a bubble around Deus's and Zeke's heads. Confused by what had just happened, Zeke watched as Alex and Deus leaped off the bridge and plunged into the water. Completely submerged, Zeke stood on the bridge, dumbfounded and nervous, calling out their names. With no other choice, he mustered his courage and jumped, calling for them to wait. As he hit the water, he sank deeper and deeper. The foolhardy man was holding his breath, dreading the inevitable plunge, but a sudden realization dawned upon him. He could breathe. His fear momentarily subsided as he wondered if it was the presence of an air bubble that made this possible. However, his relief was short-lived. His eyes widened in shock as he looked ahead, where Deus and Alex were swimming towards several dragons. These majestic creatures were swathed in blankets, chained to the lake's bed, with peculiar papers covered in strange inscriptions affixed to them. Just then, one of the dragons opened its eye, and its menacing red gaze sent shivers down Zeke's spine. Meanwhile, Alex and Deus stood observing the creatures. Alex noted, "If you consult the records, it mentions that the families harvest the dragon's scales and then summon healers to mend them, only to harvest their scales again. This cycle is repeated endlessly." He explained that this systematic healing and harvesting allowed them to maintain this operation, a farm, a factory of living dragon scales. Turning to the side with a keen interest, Alex continued, "This dragon right here has been enduring this cycle for 230 years. Man, look at this. It's clearly animal abuse. I should call animal control on them." Zeke was utterly flabbergasted. He couldn't fathom how the people everyone considered heroes could be so cruel. Deus joined the conversation, turning to Alex with a serious expression. "Do you think the hardliners are aware of this?" he asked. Alex replied without hesitation, "Don't be surprised. It's possible that since their god remained passive even as things worsened, they decided to take matters into their own hands." Deus nodded thoughtfully. "That might explain why they're using those strange parasites to fight humans instead of focusing on their mutual enemy, the demonic race." He chuckled, a glint of understanding in his eyes. "I get it, I suppose. If I were in their position, I might have tried to eliminate them all too." Changing the subject, Alex approached the dragon. "We should hurry and take a scale so we can leave this place," he said decisively. Deus agreed, and as they watched, Alex's claws extended, sharp and ready. With precision, he pierced the dragon's scale, using his formidable grip to wrench it from the creature's body. Holding the scale, he and Zeke swung upwards to make their escape. "Let's get going," Alex urged Deus, but just then something unexpected halted their progress. Alex turned back as he heard Deus mutter, "Something doesn't sit right with me." Alex looked at Deus, who hadn't moved and was still staring intently at the dragon. Confused, Alex asked, "Aren't we going?" But Deus ignored him. With a tone tinged with anger, Deus finally spoke. "As I suspected, this just doesn't sit well with me." Without warning, he kicked away the blackened chains that bound the dragon, freeing it with a single powerful strike. Zeke and Alex stared at Deus in shock, their mouths agape at his sudden, bold move. Yet their surprise didn't end there. In a dramatic flourish, Deus struck the Wakanda Forever pose. As Zeke and Alex lined up behind him in awe, Deus unleashed a laser beam attack from his eyes, slicing through the chains that were tied up on the lake's floor. And one by one, as their chains were destroyed, the dragons opened their wings, unleashing a mighty roar, a battle cry, signaling their readiness to return to the surface and seek revenge. Alex looked utterly annoyed by the unfolding chaos, yet he was powerless to intervene. The water's surface churned violently for a moment before the red dragon burst forth with great velocity, water splashing everywhere. Guards stationed on the bridge witnessed the spectacle in stunned silence. Initially confused, their faces soon mirrored sheer terror as they realized the dragons had escaped. Towering above them, the 5 dragons cast imposing shadows. The red dragon wasted no time preparing its fiery breath. Without a moment's hesitation, it unleashed a ferocious fireball directly onto the guards, igniting the area in a blaze. The purple dragon, the eldest among them, did not remain idle either. It launched a purple fireball at the buildings, leaving destruction in its wake. The other dragons followed suit, soaring into the air before raining down fireballs, each one demolishing the structures below. Meanwhile, the ice dragon carved a straight path across the sky, freezing everything beneath its icy breath. At the water's edge, Zeke emerged with great difficulty, flanked by Alex and Deus. In contrast to Zeke's struggle, Deus emerged with effortless grace. Alex's frustration boiled over as he confronted Deus, shouting at him to explain why he had unleashed the dragons in such a reckless manner. Deus, maintaining his usual calm demeanor, simply responded, "Just because." He continued by explaining that he had a sudden fit of anger because the face of that dumb bastard, Solus, popped up in his head. Alex's anger intensified as he shouted, "Didn't you say that you wouldn't do anything but take a scale?" Deus replied that he didn't know and didn't care, adding that he hadn't touched any of those blood bastards, so it was fine. As they started fighting like little kids, Alex told him that he had made a huge mess and demanded that he take responsibility. However, Deus, as we all know, didn't want to. Meanwhile, Zeke turned back and looked at the once beautiful golden place, now turned into fire and ice, filled with destruction from the dragons. Inwardly, he thought to himself that he was sure Deus said they would do this secretly. Their shouting continued as Alex pointed out that now rumors would spread, asking what Deus planned to do next. Deus revealed his plan to just wipe them all out now. Alex questioned why, if that was his plan from the beginning, what was the reason of them going undercover in the first place? They were so engrossed in their argument that they didn't notice someone standing nearby, watching them. That person was none other than Various, who looked angered by those bastards. Comment, let him cook if you want the next part. Take care and